Yeah, you tuned into the right place. Welcome to the rain. Golden Queuing. H2.0. Yeah. You're looking for a diamond, found a treasure in the rough. Tired of all the noise, cause you finally had enough. I'm here to build a movement on a mission for the nation. Dropping gems of knowledge, killing all the hesitation. We fighting for the truth, yeah, we fighting for what's right. Building unity and shining up a brand new light. It's a variety channel, but the vision's crystal clear. Pushing us all forward, conquering the doubt and fear. Welcome to the Queendom, it's 2.0 on your screen, where the content's real and smart and funny in between. This is more than just a stream, it's a platform for the change. Time to elevate the game and rearrange. If you're ready for a vibe that you can feel and trust, joining in the movement is a definite must. This ain't just another channel talking smack behind the screen. It's a spotlight for the creators, building up a better scene. Spreading radical love, that's the message in the code. Helping everybody carry up a heavy load. From social justice issues to the laughter that we need. Planting seeds of progress, watch them grow from just a seed. This is authentic, this is raw, this is everything you saw. Welcome to the battle that is truly being fought. Ooh, so come with your respect and see the real effect. Cause I protect my own right here on the throne. Don't make me envy. Unleash the dragon. Subscribe, ring that notification bell. Yeah, you don't wanna miss a thing. Welcome to the family. Yeah. Sickness spreads in whispers, in poison wells and corrupted. But a community with a strong immune system develops its own antidote. This is the cure. Listen. Listen, there's a venom in the discourse, a toxin in the talk, a parasitic agent feasting on the soul of the block. It spreads through the timeline, infecting the youth, disguising its poison. In the fragment of truth, it preaches self-interest, promotes the individual dream. Anything to fracture the collective, to poison the stream. We see the symptoms in the envy, the distrust that you breed. You planting seeds of chaos, fulfilling the system's need. This ain't about a person, this is about a constitution. You're a weapon of division, a tool of social pollution. Like the agenda's getting bold. Why? Your people have been sold. Jig is up, you're the poison, the cancer, and the cold. You don't fight for the cause, you just lighten the load for the oppressed. My. Hear the conscience, see the fraud. Bye. Your whole damn act's a fraud. You're a symptom of the sickness, a tool of the trade. For every conscience that we take, you pull us from the shade back into the darkness. Fighting sister against brother while you collect the profits, then go poison another. You weaponize our trauma, you monetize our pain. Tell us to tear each other down for your temporary gain. You speak the language of the people with the motives of the state. Asleep, a cell of selfishness designed to make us hate. But the body's getting stronger, the fever's starting to break. We can finally see the difference between what's real and what's fake. Like, my, the agenda's getting bold. Why? Your people have been sold. Jig is up, you're the poison, the cancer, and the cold. You don't fight for the cause, you just lighten the load for the soul. My, hear the conscience, see the fraud. Bye. Your whole damn act's a fraud. But the antidote is unity, the cure is in the roots. It's the knowledge of the elders and the fire in the boots of a generation rising that refuses to be bought. Recalling all the lessons that our ancestors taught. We cleanse the foundation, rebuild the immune to make the collective a garden where the real seeds can bloom. You can't poison a forest that shares a single source. We are the uprising, the unstoppable force. This is a conscious rebellion, a surgical strike to separate the healthy cells from the ones you're alike. This is more than a track, it's a code of the core to protect the foundation of what we're fighting for. So let them have the clout, let them have the fake fame, while we reclaim the power that's attached to our name. Every word is a brick, every verse is a wall, to protect the community and watch the poisoners fall. So let the record show a community divided is a target, a community infected is a tragedy, but a community united is a revolution. And the golden rule: protect the people. Protect the people, people. Protect the people. Protect the people, 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 people. The people presence.
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Golden. I'm back. We got another video we're gonna get into, another live we're gonna get into today, y'all. And of course, you know, per usual, yes, it is political updates, a lot that is going on there. And then we have some celebrity things that we're gonna bring to the forefront as well. So I hope you all are having a great day. It is about 12:50 p.m. here on a Thursday, Eastern time, in the Carolinas in the United States. And the weather is pretty nice outside, y'all. The sun is shining pretty bright. Y'all know I love when it's the sun-shining day. It makes me feel really good. It really charges my energy up. So I hope you guys are having a good day in whatever respectful time zone you're in, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night. I hope it's a good one for you. But yes, we have a few follow-ups to get into, a few updates, as y'all can see in the title here. A few things we'll be talking about. So let me go ahead and break it down and give y'all a quick synopsis of what this live is going to be about today. So the wall of silence is definitely shattering from DC to Beverly Hills. We are going to be breaking down massive days of news that spans from high-stake criminal investigations to cultural find-out phases of reality TV. First and foremost, we are going to talk about the search for Nancy Guthrie. She, excuse me, a white forensic tent has now been found at her Tucson home 12 days after her abduction. We have the latest from the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff. Then we'll also be getting to the Epstein investigation and how that's been exploding. An Epstein survivor has revealed shocking details of a DOJ cover-up to MeidasTouch, while Attorney General Pam Bondi faced a war zone, if that's what you want to call it, on Capitol Hill. She still is protecting co-conspirators. The ground is shifting. Andy Beshear and Harry Dunn join forces as GOP House REVOLT is researching a fever pitch. Is the news Trump feared most a loss of party control, or is it actually becoming a reality? And finally, when it comes to our cultural stuff, okay, we're going to be playing, you know, from none other Reese Waters, and how he has been, you know, doing an excellent job with the video that he created, speaking about Bad Bunny. And he just brought that to his FAFO season. But it is wrapped around the Real Housewives. Is this era of scripted protection for the Bravo elite officially over or not? So we're going to be getting into all of these topics on this live today. Okay, so as far as the white tent at Nancy Guthrie's home, let's get real serious here. This is heavy news. In the search for Nancy Guthrie, the mother of the Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, it is now day 12 since her abduction from her Arizona home. Today, a white forensic tent was erected over the front door, the same spot where the blood splatter was found. Authorities are now asking neighbors to check their cameras for two very specific dates, January 31st and January 11th. Savannah just posted a beautiful tribute saying that she will never give up. We are still waiting to see if this tense means that they finally found the evidence that they need, or is it just there for show? We also will be getting into survivors and how they reveal all to Meidas. Of course, one of another channel that I like to really watch here and show you guys, Ben Masilis and the MeidasTouch on the Epstein cover-up. And a massive bombshell, Epstein survivor, and I hope I pronounce her name right, Anuska de Gijero, sat down with MeidasTouch podcast to call out what she describes as a calculated cover-up. She's accusing the DOJ of intentionally failing to redact survivor names while scrubbing the identities of the powerful men involved. She is calling for an independent monitor to step in because, in her words, the foxes are guarding the henhouse. This isn't just news. It's a demand for justice that is shaking the legal world. We also will talk a little bit more about Pam Bondi battling on Capitol Hill. While that survivor interview was dropping, Attorney General Pam Bondi was in an absolute slugfest on Capitol Hill. It lasted about 5 hours. Democrats accused her of using a burn book of opposition research to attack them rather than to answer for the Epstein files. Bondi called the hearing theatrics and a circus, but the tension peaked when she refused to apologize directly to survivors sitting in the courtroom at that same time. Even some Republicans, like Tom Massey, are calling out the DOJ handling of these files and the incompetent actions that they have displayed. We also will get into Donald Trump and how he's losing ground. Andy Beshear and Harry Dunn join forces. The political map is being redrawn. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear and former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn have teamed up, and the Democracy Defender Coalition is gaining steam. Polling shows Trump is starting to lose ground with those key moderate voters who are exhausted by the constant DC drama. When you see a popular Democratic governor and a national hero like Dunn standing together, it's clear they are building a bridge for voters who are looking for a way out of this chaos. And then we'll also talk a little bit about Trump's resignation news, the House revolts. There is a tiny but mighty rebellion happening right now in the House. Right now, that has the White House on edge. For the first time, we saw a group of House Republicans break ranks to vote with Democrats to stop Trump tariffs on Canada. This is a revolt. The president feared a lot. While some are still defending the cabinet, the fact that GOP members are starting to vote against signature policies shows the dam of the support. Is it finally starting to leak? We will see. People are starting to ask, how long can this hold? And in celebrity news, y'all, Bad Bunny brings a FAFO season to Real Housewives. Reported by none other than Reese Waters. We're going to be talking about culture. Reese Waters is breaking down how Bad Bunny just unshared in FAFO season for the Real Housewives, following his massive Super Bowl performance and his refusal to stay quiet. The fans are now applying that same accountability to reality TV. People are tired of the fake, protected storylines on Bravo. The audience is demanding the find out phase for the stars who have hidden behind scripts for years. And Reese says, if Bad Bunny can be the real on the biggest stage in the world, why are we settling for less when it comes to the Housewives on Bravo? So yes, y'all, we will be getting into all of these topics in these videos here on this live today. Let's go ahead and tap into our first one. And yes, it is from Fox News because you know over here we like to be fair. And so we will hear this report from Fox News. And in this report, we will be talking about this white tent that has been set up at Nancy Guthrie's home. So let's go ahead and get into it. And per usual, I will meet y'all in the chat.
And Matt Fan is live outside Nancy Guthrie's home where we're seeing some movement. Matt, describe the scene for us.
Yeah, in the past couple of minutes, we saw this white tent be put up outside of the front door of Nancy Guthrie's home. Obviously not clear why that tent is there, but it is most certainly blocking view from the public and any passerbys. We imagine there might be some activity happening inside of that tent, which is directly in front of Nancy Guthrie's home. Of course, that doorstep has now become such a critical element of this investigation because we have seen that masked figure right outside of that front door. Also, the blood drops leading from the front door down the sidewalk to the gravel driveway. Perhaps the tent is protecting that blood and the evidence from the sun, or perhaps there will be ongoing investigations that they want to keep a little more discreet underneath that white tent, but it was just put up moments ago. We'll be sure to keep you updated on any activity going in or out of that tent. It's clear to us on the ground here right now that investigators have really been focusing on the area in and around Nancy Guthrie's home, meaning foot searches on the ground, also over at Annie Guthrie's house as well. Over the past couple of days, our crews have seen foot searches, grid-like searches, all times of the day. Morning, noon, and night. In fact, just this morning, really only a couple of hours ago, one of our crew members saw the Pima County Forensic Unit searching a major thoroughfare around here, Campbell Avenue, taking pictures on Campbell Ave. And that was about a mile away from Nancy's house. And then yesterday, investigators found a black glove also on Campbell Avenue, which is a busy street that feeds into Nancy's neighborhood. Then that glove could be the type of clue that could offer critical DNA evidence. And of course, the Nest Cam video that was released outside of Nancy's front door shows that masked figure wearing dark gloves. The surveillance video was released on Tuesday, but so far the FBI has not released a description of the person in that video, meaning estimated height and weight. We're told law enforcement is working on that description, but you know that ultimately could help the public narrow down exactly who they're looking for out here. So back live outside of Nancy's house, we will keep you updated on the ongoing investigation and developments here in the Tucson area. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Matt. Phil?
Dana, I want to take you over. Sorry, I thought we were going to play a soundbite there. My bad. Come on over here. We'll get to that soundbite momentarily. All right, Nancy Guthrie's house is right here. Okay, I want you to show you the location for where that glove was located. I'm going to give you 3 different ways to get there, all right? And it takes no time at all to get from her home, all right? It's 1.5 miles if you fly like a bird. It's 4.5 miles to Annie Guthrie's house if you do the same. But all these roads are such a winding tapestry in this neighborhood. Must be beautiful in the southwestern part of America, but you can go up this road and find your way to that glove location. You can also go this way and find your way. You can also take the shortest route, which puts you here as well. All 3 routes, about a mile, mile and a half, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you're there. It's only stop signs, no stoplights. It's not far at all. So keep that in mind about this location, whether or not that's significant. This is the glove. The New York Post had a crew there when they found it yesterday on the side of that road. And this is the neighborhood, the tapestry of roads that I described. Everything in yellow on the outside, those are the main roads. Everything in green is just this windy road that takes you, it looks like a tree branch, right? Several tree branches throughout the area. Nancy's home's here. The glove was found there, and we'll see whether or not in the end that makes a hill of beans momentarily. But for more, I want to bring in the NYPD Inspector Paul Morrow, who joins us now. Dana.
Paul, good morning to you. So we're day 12, and yesterday morning we had this news from Harvey Levin saying that they had just received a note from somebody who says that they know the kidnapper asking for a Bitcoin. Later on in the day, we get this report that there's one glove found. Now this morning we see the tent outside the house. Based on your experience in terms of investigations, like, where do you see this on day 12? Is it slowing down, gaining momentum, about the right amount of time being spent in each place? Your expertise means a lot to everybody listening, so we'll turn it over to you.
So, Dana, one thing about investigations, they have peaks and valleys. And right now, I would characterize it, despite the fact that we've had a couple of things that could be significant, I think we're in a little bit of a valley. Now, that doesn't mean that the case has gone cold or that no progress is being made. And just let me explain that, you know, in the past, people got very used to the idea, the first 48, we've all heard that. And that was because the forensics were very, very different. You were working with fingerprints and things that came back much more quickly. You either had a match or you didn't. And you also did that off of interviews and things like that. These days, there is so much digital dust floating around out there that people leave. Never mind things like the fact that cars all have GPSs. These cars are rolling computers. They link to each other. They link to OnStars, things like that. People have dash cams. The point is, there's a lot of stuff that has to be gone through. And you and I worked the Kohlberger case together. And I remember being out there in Idaho when a lot of people were saying the case was cold and making this point, and then it was 6 weeks later. People forget it was 6 weeks before they buttoned that case up. They did it in the way that I'm describing. So could we get a break any day? Sure, we could get it today. And Kesh Patel does say they're making progress and that they're looking at a few people. But I would just say at this point, we may be into the analysis portion. What's upsetting about that is, of course, Nancy is still out there.
Do you have any thoughts as to why investigators seem to keep returning to Annie Guthrie's home?
I really don't. I know that there have been various tips coming in. As a result, I think they're pursuing those, but I don't see it as all that significant.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
All right, y'all. So as I said, I like to play a little bit of different news stations or whatnot reporting, just so we can be fair across the board here. But we're going to go ahead and get into the next video. So the next one we'll be playing is going to be from none other than Ben Masilis, okay, over on the MeidasTouch network. And he's going to be talking about here on his live, survivors reveal all to Meidas on the Epstein cover-up. So let's go ahead and listen to this, y'all. Again, viewer discretion is advised and trigger warning. I know that some of these topics can be very triggering for people, but these survivors, these victims, they deserve justice. They deserve to be heard properly. We have clearly seen over the past few days that, a lot of individuals have not been trying to give them the proper voice that they need to have to speak out and the proper justice. We watched how Pam Bondi sat up there and acted like she was a baby, much younger than my son, which is 3, and didn't even want to give any of these victims even just a glance. She didn't even look at them when they were in the courtroom right beside her, looking for justice and looking for support. And so we're going to go ahead and play a little bit of this video here, where Ben Masilis is able to have a conversation with one of the Epstein survivors, and they're putting it all out there. So let's go ahead and get into it. We'll be right back.
I think it is critical that at the MeidasTouch Network, we continue to tell the stories of these survivors of Epstein, of this horrible child sex trafficking ring that continues to be covered up by the Trump regime, especially after we saw Attorney General Pam Bondi testify yesterday before the House Judiciary Committee. And it was one of the most, if not the most, disgraceful types of testimony I've ever seen or frankly could fathom. She was asked a lot of very serious questions, just on a partisan basis. We also saw Republican from Kentucky, Thomas Massey, ask Pam Bondi a number of very serious questions, and she would try to answer with, oh, well, you've got derangement syndrome and you're a failed politician. And these were real serious questions. Why were you outing the names of survivors when you had one job to protect the survivors? Why are you continuing to hide and shield and redact the name of co-conspirators and these powerful men who were involved in this sex trafficking ring? Why are you still withholding millions of documents? There were a group of survivors there. There were survivors watching across the country as well. And to see what Pam Bondi was doing, what I've just been hearing is it's just further re-traumatization. And what she did there just made things even worse. Now, one of the survivors who you probably have seen watching the MeidasTouch Network and clips that we've shown, because she's been very outspoken, front and center, a real leader in the survivor community, is somebody by the name of Haley Robson. Now, Haley Robson is someone who was sexually assaulted by Epstein from the years of 2002 to 2004 when she was in Epstein's orbit. We'll talk about what went down. She is somebody who has reclaimed her power from this horrific sex trafficking ring as a survivor to speak out. Somebody who is experiencing this re-traumatization by this DOJ over and over again. And we have her here today to share her story with her own words, not just the clips, but to go through this entire ordeal and to shed light on what took place and also why it's just so nefarious what's taking place right now. Let's bring in Haley Robson. Haley, it's great to see you. I wish under better circumstances, of course. But this is your life now. And when Trump and Pam Bondi and Caroline Leavitt say, we just want to move on from this, that's not a luxury that you have to just move on from this. And so this part, the sexual assault, we're going to talk about how you got into his orbit, what happened there. I want to start this interview though by just getting your reaction, obviously, to what you saw with Pam Bondi, what you witnessed as you observed that hearing. You weren't there, you watched it on TV. What was your observation?
I mean, I was appalled. I felt like it was definitely her antagonizing a situation. I mean, everybody knows that Trump's name is mentioned in those files alongside with plenty of other elites and politicians and government officials. It's not a secret anymore. And honestly, this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to partake in going to Washington for this specific event. Part of it was because I knew this was going to be what she does. I knew Ghislaine was going to plead the fifth. I knew that this was just going to be a whole show of chaos and deflection. And the entire time, anything that was asked about Jeffrey, Trump, anything that was even related to the files, it was just her being combative and uncooperative. And it was really disrespectful and hard to watch.
And her behavior there compounded on, as you mentioned, Ghislaine invoking her Fifth Amendment, even though she spoke with Todd Blanche, Trump's former criminal defense attorney. Mm-hmm. Now she claims, well, even though I've exhausted all of my appeals, but she pretends she didn't. I've got a habeas petition, as though people are stupid and don't realize that technically every prisoner has the right to file a habeas petition. But just because you're filing a frivolous habeas petition doesn't mean that that's an appeal. But you set that aside. You've experienced the DOJ leaking personal identifying information and concealing information about the perpetrators and the co-conspirators while harming the survivor community. Before we go back in time, right now, just what's going through your mind? What's your perspective of just where we are right now, mid-February, based on everything that's happened?
I'm not really surprised. I mean, I knew that we were going to be met with resistance and retribution. I did not expect for naked photos of some of the underage girls like myself to go and be public. And I certainly didn't expect social security numbers and addresses and phone numbers to go public. I mean, I've been very, very vocal on wanting transparency. And for me, I was never protected in this investigation from the day that I cooperated. So I wasn't expecting to be redacted at this point, which I was totally vocal and fine with. But I'm hurting for my colleagues and my other survivor friends, because it's an act of war when you do this. This is what feels like retribution for going against the system and being vocal. And we're just being met with resistance and disrespect.
And I think people out there hear, oh, information about the survivors has been leaked. And that, I don't want to say it falls flat, because that's obviously serious, but I like to use very concrete specifics so people know it's not just identifiers. As you say, they're naked photos of underage girls. These are personal identifying information that relates to sexual assault. So can you, before we go back in time a little bit, what are you aware of, whether it's your own information or those of other survivors that you're aware of, in the specifics of what's been out there that's really been causing a lot of trauma?
Well, I just said it. It's the naked photos or, abuse photos. Really, let's call it what it is. It's the child abuse photos that were released and leaked, that was made public, that really caused a lot of heartbreak. And just everyone was so scared, because if you have no boundary to release a photo of a child naked, and you're the government, I mean, it's just, this is why we feel it's deliberate. So there were definitely photos that were leaked of underage children. Again, I know a couple of the survivor girls, they were saying how they found their address and phone numbers that were released of, I think, like several girls, a handful actually, and IDs, identification cards, like, those were released. And so when we talk about personal information, you got to think of safety here. Releasing, addresses and phone numbers and social security of victims and survivors of a heinous crime, these girls, their safety is now jeopardized.
So you were in Epstein's orbit from 2002 to 2004. We're going to get into some difficult topics to talk about, but first sexually assaulted at the age of 16. Do I have that correct? About the
I was raped at 15. He was 22. That's how I lost my virginity.
All right, guys. So as you can see, I have my disclaimer on the screen. I hope you can see that. You can read that, and you understand exactly why I put that there. This conversation that's being had right now with Ben Masiles and this Epstein survivor, it is very triggering. She is speaking confidently about her experience with Epstein, and it's very triggering. Okay, so I want to just come out and put not just a typed disclaimer, but also a vocal disclaimer that I am telling you right now. This conversation, yes, it is a trigger warning. This conversation, you have to imagine how hard it probably is or was for her to even get to this point to have this discussion with Ben. So we need to wrap our arms around this woman and give to her, even from a far distance, our love and our support and our strength, because it takes strength to sometimes come out and talk about these things and these experiences. It's not easy, and we know that a lot of times when these type of things are brought to the forefront and spoke about, that as a survivor or a victim, unfortunately, you may get the short end of the stick. You may be the one that people are going to, say whatever about, talk about, judge, whatever it may be. But you went through something traumatic, and it can take people, however long it may take somebody, to be able to speak out on these things and be transparent with what exactly happened in their experience and their traumas that they've experienced. So we have to have a love. We have to have a consideration. We have to have a feeling of empathy and sympathy for some of these, well, not some, for victims and survivors of this type of treatment. And so, y'all, that's what I'm just saying here. I have it on the screen. It is viewer discretion is advised. This is extreme trigger warning. But I also just wanted to come on the mic real quick just to say that vocally as well. And I want us to just wrap our arms around her, if we can, virtually, and send our energy out to her, and not just her, but all of now the survivors that are standing up and being so courageous to speak their story, tell their story, and they deserve to have the justice that they rightfully need. And we seen Pam wasn't trying to give it to him, now was she? But anyway, y'all, I just wanted to come and give that verbal disclaimer. Let's keep going. I'm so sorry if anybody has had experiences like this in their life, and this is something that maybe you can attest to, then you will understand what some of these survivors have experienced and been through. And if you have been through these things, my heart goes out to you. I am so sorry that you had those experiences. And I am hoping and praying and fighting and using my platform and my voice to bring to the forefront these stories and these reports of what has happened. Because I believe that anybody who has experienced anything like this deserves to have their story be heard, to be respected and understood. And they also deserve to have their justice when it comes for us doing the right thing. Doing the right thing when these type of things happen. Not sliding it up under the rug or the files. These people deserve justice. They have undergone traumas. Things that have happened to them at very young ages that they didn't ask for. They didn't sign up for. And when they tried to come out and speak about it, nobody wanted to believe them. Nobody thought that they were telling the truth or thought that it was important enough to listen to or hear. And now we're in a place where, yes, this is the time right now for these survivors to get their justice and tell their story and have their peace. And we won't even get into PTSD. That'll be a whole nother live and conversation for another day. Because a lot of time when you experience things like that, it affects your whole life. How you sleep, how you eat, how you move, how you walk, how you operate. Nobody wants to talk about that. How people's lives are changed forever for the difference because of these experiences that they have gone through and went through. That they didn't sign up for, they didn't ask for it, and they didn't know it was going to happen. At the hands of dark, dirty, nasty, disgusting individuals that thinks it's okay. Let's keep going with the live because y'all know how I can get. I just wanted to give that verbal disclaimer. Trigger warning, extreme trigger warning. And God bless this woman and other women or men even that have come out now to tell their story about their experiences. And I hope now that the world is listening and that they take these things seriously. And these people get the proper justice due that they deserve. Let's keep going.
And that was my first experience with a man in my entire life. So that set the tone, I think, for the future. And that following year at 16, I was recruited. And that's when I met Jeffrey.
And I think that aspect of it is important. I used to, when I was a litigator and I represented survivors in cases like this, often my clients had a background where they were sexually assaulted by an adult, and that was in their background, which is often used against them in the litigation to try to launch attacks on their claims and the veracity of it. And, oh, this happened here and it happened. You expect us to, that's what I'd get a lot from the defense when I would be representing survivors. But what is known is that these predators out there, they are looking for people who had a background, oftentimes where they were victimized before. And so, there are photos of you that we have, I think right around the age of when you met Epstein, and it's you playing football. It's you at high school in the West Palm Beach high school area, the Royal Palm Beach High. Talk to us about how, from the incident you talked about at the age of 15 with another person, you get into the orbit and you're dragged into this orbit of this monster, this predator who's out there specifically trying to target people with your background. High school, 15, 16, previously victimized by another, raped by another person. How did that happen?
Your health deserves more than guesswork. At Prenuvo, our
Well, ironically, when I met Jeffrey, I was trying to escape the rape. When I met Jeffrey, I wanted to leave West Palm Beach. I wanted to get out. And so when I was recruited by Tony Figueroa and another classmate to go to Jeffrey Epstein's house, I thought I was walking into somebody that was going to be able to help me. And it's ironic looking back on it now in hindsight. When you're an adult, you find the little red flags that you just completely missed as a child. But I met Jeffrey, and Tony Figueroa and I went to his house, and him and the other young girl told me that Jeffrey could help me, and he was looking for a massage for $200. And when I entered the side, kitchen door and went upstairs, his assistant brought me upstairs. It was not a massage. It turned into an hour of me being sexually abused by Jeffrey. And it was just the most insane experience. Looking back on it, I am so thankful I got out of there. While I was in the room with him, he, did things to me. He made me watch him do things to himself. I remember grabbing me so hard at 16 on my backside that it shoved me into the massage table, as if he was trying to pull me closer. And then he brought out some inappropriate sex toys. And that's kind of when I was like, what is this? Like, I never experienced that before. And it was terrifying. No, I'm not doing this. I'm sorry. I'm not comfortable with that. And I wanted to leave so bad. And I just remembering thinking to myself, if I run for the door, is it locked? And if I scream, is this room soundproof? Because all of the adults are downstairs right now and I'm upstairs with him alone. And it was a shower and a steam room and a bathroom inside the master bedroom. And I was just terrified. And he made me watch him finish and was so disappointed. After he finished himself, he was so disappointed and he just looked up at me and he said, listen, you're going to bring me a friend to come over and massage me or I'm going to sexually assault you. And at that point, I had already been raped. I was terrified. I had no idea what was going on at that point. I just wanted to get out. So I made a decision based off survival mode and agreed to bring a friend. And that's how it started. And I was in his orbit for 2 years. His assistant would call me every day. She would call me asking, Jeffrey wants you to come over with a friend. And no matter how hard I tried to ignore the calls and the text messages, it was consistently every day. And it took me 2 years. And when I turned 18, I did not feel good. I didn't want to deal with him anymore. And I was scared to leave. I didn't know what to do. And I just kept thinking to myself, this might be my opportunity to move out of West Palm Beach and get away from not just my rapist, but now Jeffrey. And so I did. Shortly after I left Jeffrey, I moved to Orlando. And when I left Jeffrey, and this is something that I am, and one of the reasons why I have been vocal on the Transparency Act is when I left Jeffrey Epstein, he called my house and spoke to my dad. And unfortunately, my dad passed away from glioblastoma December. So I couldn't even have a conversation with him at that time about Jeffrey calling the house because my dad at that point had already lost his memory and was struggling with his motor skills. When I left Jeffrey and moved to Orlando, I started stripping.
All right, y'all. I'm just gonna go ahead and take a quick song break because this is very dark and it's very emotional, and it has now made me become emotional. She is emotional. I know other people may be emotional as well. And so we'll just take a quick song break and we'll be right back. As y'all can see that I am posting up here some helplines, whether they are websites or phone numbers that you can call if you need help, if you have experienced any of these traumas and experiences. And I'm so sorry for being emotional. I'm going to play a quick song break and then we'll come back. I'll be right back.
orders, lawful and true. A clear message meant for me and you. But the air grew cold and the line was crossed. A furious price at any cost. A simple warning, clear and bright. Met with a fury late one night. The headline screams, chilling sound. Political peace is nowhere found. Punishable by death. The message read, a fire lit under every head. For lawmakers sworn to oppose the pay. Now caught in the heat of a social rage. Caught in the heat of a social rage. Call this edition on a digital stage. Turning the Constitution's page. He reposted words dark and profane, inviting the crowd to call for the change. Bubbles that said, hang them. History's grim call. Put a target on the Capitol wall. In the heat of social rage. They message for greatness. And truth turns to lies. We see the danger reflected in their eyes. This isn't rhetoric, it's a terrifying shift. A line we can't let simply drift.
Started dancing, and it was, a way for me to get control back over my life and for me to just be free. And I started dancing up in Orlando, and I met someone, and I ended up dating this person and falling in love with them. And he was murdered.
I'm so sorry. And around what time did that take place?
2006, June 22nd, 2006. It was a Thursday. And I never really thought that Jeffrey could do something like that, or that it would be retribution for me leaving. And I knew, I had a feeling that there was going to be some point in my life where I was going to have to, that something was going to come back. Either he was going to come back or somehow he was going to find me. But I never, ever in my entire life thought that that would be something I would make a connection with. But as I'm seeing all these files release and the malevolence and evil that's in it beyond just the sexual abuse, I can't help but to beg the question of, am I overthinking everything? Is that a crazy thought to have with everything that's in the files? And it kind of brings in that conspiracy theory that I've tried to not connect. And so simultaneously, the same week that my boyfriend was murdered is the same week that everything hit the media with Jeffrey. And so I lost my boyfriend. Everything hit the media. And then I was dragged through the mud. I was not protected by the police department, even though I was with Jeffrey at 16. All of my personal information was leaked to the police department and the press. I had to go through 17 years worth of a smear campaign, like a horrific smear campaign by Jeffrey's attorneys, by Jeffrey himself. And now come to find out, TMZ in the files was paid $10,000 a month to run smear campaigns on survivors. And I had to go through all of this at one time in my life. It happened within days of each other. And I don't know how I survived. I don't know how I was able to keep a level head and keep a job and be a mom, but it's been horrific leading all the way up till today. And what the DOJ is dragging us through and what our government is re-traumatizing us for. It's literally being sexually assaulted all over again.
Did they ever find who was the murderer of your boyfriend at the time, or has that always remained a cold case, if you will?
It's a cold case.
And after that took place, you referenced the first time Epstein was arrested, and that was arising out of information that was obtained. I think it started off as a fight in a high school between girls who were talking to each other or fighting with each other and saying, you're a prostitute and you're a prostitute. And then the school overheard it, and they found that one of the girls had $300. And that started the beginning of looking into it, but then it was kind of covered up by local police. Then there was some, I think, important reporting that was taking place. And so that the first time around when you're being smeared, that's in 2006, 2007, right around that period, because your name, talk to us about that period. And then let's fast forward to the more recent arrest before he died in August of 2019.
So one of the girls that went with me to Jeffrey's house, she allegedly got into a fight at in high school. She got into a fist fight, I suppose, and her mother was called down to the office, and there was a whole argument and there was a whole discrepancy about where the money came from. And I think she finally honestly told her mom that I had brought her to Jeffrey's. And so that was the starting. Her stepmother was allegedly the one that called the police. And so that's where the investigation started. And that's where I was brought in for questioning, which is wild because if you see the video of the police questioning me, and there's also videos of the police questioning the other girls, the other victims, you can clearly hear that we tell them, well, we were sexually abused, or this is what happened, or with Jeffrey. And all of us had very similar stories of abuse. It was very consistent. All of our stories were very consistent with each other. And for whatever reason, the department, I don't know if it was the Palm Beach Police Department or if it was when the FBI got involved, but there was a lack of information at some point in a disconnect that happened, because you had the Palm Beach Police Department that was trying to do an active investigation, which ended up becoming federal because in 2019 he got rearrested. But when this whole thing started in Palm Beach Police Department, they're the ones that started the smear campaign. So when I got called in for questioning, you can see on the video that all of us have a very consistent story, but the police officers aren't listening. The detectives aren't listening. The detectives aren't acknowledging that we were abused. They're only acknowledging that we brought other girls to his house, not realizing that we were children when we did this. I was 16 when I started with Jeffrey, and I left when I was 18. And so that kicked off the whole court case in Florida. And then I had Acosta was the one that gave Jeffrey, or somehow worked out a deal with Jeffrey for the 13-month sentence, which allowed him to go on work release, where he was still abusing other women, where there were police officers standing outside while he was abusing girls, while he was supposed to be locked up.
This is the most relaxing game in 2025.
Do you remember the day when you learned about that deal? Because obviously the survivors weren't consulted. It was just, it was just announced. Now we see in the files a lot of the federal prosecutors who had to report to Acosta and the other people who led that criminal division were saying, you've really caused a lot of problems with these survivors and you should hear from them. But Acosta, did this deal with Epstein's lawyers. Do you remember when you learned about it and then how that made you feel? And this was after the horrific events of 2006, where there's this, horrible incident where your boyfriend is murdered. 2007, 2008-ish, you learn about this deal. You're trying to recover from all of this trauma. Then you hear about this. So what happens then?
It was so unbelievable. I remember my attorney calling me and telling me that he learned about this. And I did not understand. I was like, how are we not, like, why? First of all, 13 months? Really? Like, that's it? And it didn't make any sense to me. I immediately said that something's not right. I said, this doesn't sound right. I said, because the punishment doesn't fit the crime. And then that's when I learned the reason he got the 13 months is there was a lack of information that was being granted to the grand jury. So there were 40 victims that came forward with very consistent stories about being abused and bringing girls to Jeffrey's house. And those consistent stories never made it to the grand jury. Only 4 victims, I believe, were presented to the grand jury. And I feel like if all 40 victims were presented, we would have had a much different outcome.
So then I assume, and I never want to assume, but between when the deals finally inked with Epstein, like in 2008, really through Julie K. Brown and the Miami Herald starting to write about this again, 2018, 2017, you must be thinking, well, again, I don't want to infer, but he got away with this. This is, he's free. Nothing's ever going to happen to this guy and this network of people. So talk to us about that as we then talk about the arrest of Epstein, his death, which now there's a lot more questions there too. If there were a ton before, but now it's like, come on, the Ghislaine trial, and then your attempt to recover from all the trauma that you've been through during those years. What's going on in that gap of time?
So when Jeffrey got arrested, everything kind of settled down. And I was like, thank God, I can breathe. I can get through this. It was a sigh of relief. But, the 13 months went by really fast. And I remember thinking to myself, like, he's just going to do it again. Like, I mean, you guys gave him a slap on the wrist. There was no real harsh punishment. The time didn't fit the crime. There's no way he's not going to do this again. And so through those years, I just drank a lot of alcohol. I tried to cope with it in different ways. And then eventually I cleaned up my act and I went back to school. I was focusing on myself. I had, moved into a beautiful place. I was seemingly things were getting better and I was being able to heal and there was room for me to grow. And
what years are those, Hallie, when you went to school, just so we can situate it in time?
I would say between 2010 and like 2013, right around there. I didn't finish my degree, but it was a little bit of a break. It was nice. And then, between 2013 and 2014, I became a mom and I got married. And again, everything seemed very quiet. And I was actually really surprised. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't coming up in the news. You weren't really hearing about Ghislaine. Stories weren't really being covered anymore. It kind of felt like it was fizzled out and it was done and over with. And so it kind of gave me a little bit of hope, like, okay, if this is it, like we're finally done with the situation. I can finally move on and build my life. And then, no, 2018, I met Lisa Bryant, who was the producer of Filthy Rich. And they were doing a documentary on Jeffrey Epstein because he had just been rearrested in New York for similar or the same crimes. And so I was asked to do the documentary Filthy Rich. So I met with Lisa Bryant, and she was, after 17 years of being in fear and being forced into silence from the smear campaigns, I figured, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose and nothing to gain. So I met Lisa Bryant. We went over, we talked. I told her my story. She made, the documentary that was very successful. And then, of course, COVID hit. And, when COVID hit, everything got locked down. Nobody was able to get out of the house. For a while, restaurants were closed. So what was everybody doing? They were all watching Netflix, and Jeffrey Epstein's documentary, Filthy Rich, had just been released.
And so the documentary, though, was filmed. So Epstein dies August 10th of 2019, although we've now seen in the files that the prosecutors had prepared a press release the day before, which people can take whatever that is, but there's a press release written the day before. And there's also the timing of things in the files with an orange jumpsuit person, and even the person who was moved in to be his original bunkmate said that he thought he's been moved in there in order to kill Epstein because he's someone who's a quadruple murderer who kills, pedos. And so he's like, I assume they put me in there to kill the guy. But not that we can ever set that aside, but we'll save that for another show. But you've learned Epstein gets arrested. You are filming this documentary, and then you find out that Epstein dies, and that it's being called a purported suicide. And this is before he's able to be brought to justice in the New York case. He wasn't even, there was barely any court appearances at that point in time. I mean, the case had not gone to trial. Talk to us about when you learned that he died.
Why do the biggest names in dropshipping keep talking about the same platform?
How to integrate a tool called AutoDS.
The one I suggest using while dropshipping is called AutoDS.
AutoDS is a great platform if you want to get real data on the product.
I woke up that morning and I got a text at 9 a.m. I think it was a Saturday. And it was my sister texted me and said, I hope you find closure knowing that, Jeffrey's dead. And I was like, what? Jeffrey's dead? I was like, no, he's in jail. And then Lisa Bryant called me and we had a conversation, and I just broke down. I just remember crying like hysterically. And then I just kind of started laughing, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, right? Like, so he's never going to face justice because allegedly he took the easy way out, which I don't believe he killed himself. And it's very hard for me to believe that because Jeffrey is a megalomaniac. I mean, he thrived off control and power. He thought he was God, and he didn't think he was ever going to get caught. And so when somebody has that type of personality, it's hard for me to think that they would ever feel guilty or ashamed enough to want to kill themselves. I just don't believe it. I think he was murdered. But it was a very traumatic day that day because I felt every emotion. I felt sadness, happiness, joy. I felt emptiness. And then I just felt rage and anger for a while. And, it was unbelievable to find out that there were guards that fell asleep. And then you're hearing about the cameras that allegedly didn't work. And not only that the cameras allegedly didn't work, but that allegedly there was an incident a week or two prior to that where, again, he was trying to commit suicide and the cameras weren't working. And I'm like, I mean, that just doesn't sound plausible to me. I don't believe it. And after he passed away and, everything was back in the media again. And I remember being in the media, and they were talking about Jeffrey's death, and Mark Epstein had brought in his own person to do an autopsy, which I think was incredibly smart. And Ghislaine, they were like looking for Ghislaine for a whole year. and Ghislaine was like hiding out somewhere in the middle of nowhere, I think like up north. And they finally found her and brought her in. And that's when things really ramped up in the media, because now they were getting ready for trial. There were victims that were coming forward against Ghislaine Maxwell that had proof they were going to put her away. And I'm watching this in real time and I'm like, I can't even believe the scope of the timing of everything. It like all was just happening in fast motion. And I just remember not being able to process everything. And I was at LA Fitness. I was at the gym and it was in the morning and they convicted her. She was convicted and found guilty on her own charges of sexual abuse and trafficking. And I was so shocked. I was like, oh my God, like finally there's accountability. There's somebody that's, you know, taking notice and what needs to be done and doing the right thing. Like, this is wonderful. Like, more people might start actually being held accountable. And it was all a lie though, because if you look at it now, in hindsight, what was the point? What was the point of making Anuska DeGiorgia and some of the other girls testify? Some of those girls aren't here anymore. Some of those girls, it cost them their life to testify against her. And to sit around and convict her and get 20 years, which is not even deserving. She deserves way more than 20 years. So to see her to get 20 years and then to have this administration and Todd Blanche, I cannot stand him. He is such a dishonest person. And see him get a 2-hour interview with her, and then she gets moved to a summer camp. I'm watching everything with the public in real time, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody else is believing or buying this BS, but I don't think he interviewed her. I legit think that he went there for 2 hours and said, what do you know? I want to know what you know, and let's work out a deal. She was a trafficker and a monster, and she sexually raped and abused children alongside with Jeffrey. And I don't understand how they could just move her.
Did you have any interactions with her, or did you see her? And by the way, when you were talking about the incidents earlier, sexual assault and rape, I shouldn't say incident. We should be very specific about what it was. That in the West Palm Beach home? Was that in that location? And then did you see Ghislaine, and what were those interactions, or did you know about her at the time?
So I had no idea who Ghislaine was. I never met Ghislaine. I think it was deliberate. But I never saw her at Jeffrey's house. I never spoke to her. I never was introduced to her. But I know that she was involved in some of this because I've heard the stories from the other survivors. And not only did I hear the other survivors' stories.
All right, y'all. So we have almost reached like to the end of that live and that interview and that conversation. And I do want to play it all, but I do have a few more videos that I got to play for you guys. So as I always do, I would recommend that you guys please go over to the MeidasTouch channel with Ben Masilas and check out the channel, subscribe, become a member, and watch the video. You can watch this video in entirety, and there's so many more just like this as well, and great coverage that he does and makes on his channel all the time. So you guys, please go over there and follow that. We're going to take a quick song break. And once we come back, we're going to move forward because we got to talk about Pam Bondi battling on Capitol Hill and how Donald Trump seems to be losing ground. So we're going to move forward with that. And I know that's also going to be a relief maybe for some that may be listening or watching. It is very triggering. It's triggering for me. It's very hard for me to listen to and watch. And like I said, my prayers and my arms are going out and around a lot of these victims and survivors of this type of treatment at the hands of these monsters. And we're going to call them exactly what they are here on this channel. They're monsters. and they have been nasty work, and they have done people dirty, and they're trying to slide it under the rug and act as if it didn't happen. And so I'm glad that the truth is coming out. I'm glad that these survivors finally get to tell their story, get to be heard and seen. And I'm hoping and praying that justice will rain down in the proper way that it deserves to when it comes to these nasty pieces of work. Anyway, y'all, let's take this song break and we'll be right back.
On the bill is looking faded and frayed. The fourth estate is corporate owned and heavily paid. They're trading in the facts for a narrative fabricated. If you leak the truth, you get deleted and degraded. Look, the teleprompter's glowing with the scripted out deception. A digital infection to manipulate perception. They steer the conversation in a singular direction, while the First Amendment's dying with no hope of resurrection. It's a manufactured crisis, yeah, they're selling us the fear. Whispering the lies until it's all the people here. They call it fact-checking just to keep the vision blurry, while they bury every whistleblower in a frantic hurry. Silence in the streets, silence in the booth, a total moratorium on anyone with truth. They're tearing out the pages, yeah, they're burning down the fence. A war against the people and against our common sense. It's the sound of the silent, it's heavy and it's cold. It's the sound of the silent, it's heavy and it's cold. Check the independent outlets, yeah, they're catching all the heat. The ones who skip the press release and actually hit the beat. But the algorithms weaponize, the reach is getting throttled. The spirit of the journalist is suffocated bottle. They shadow ban the brave and they platform the fake. It's a psychological game with the highest of stakes. If you don't toe the line, then they label you a threat, putting filters on your mouth like a suffocating net. They claim they're stopping harm, but they're only stopping thought. Democracy is auctioned and the airwaves have been bought. The gatekeepers are frantic, they're losing their control, so they're trying to put a padlock on the collective soul. They're cutting the wires, they're pulling the plugs, treating the seekers of truth like the thugs. From the boardrooms to the courtrooms, the pressure is rising. The death of the discourse of what they're devising. The spark in the dark is a beautiful thing. Let the bells of the rebels and dissidents ring. Of peace if the cost is your tongue. The songs of the ancestors are waiting to be sung. They want us quiet, compliant, and staring at the floor while they're locking up the exits and they're bolting every door. But the truth is a frequency they can't fully jam. I'm a man with a mind, I'm not a ghost in their program. No more silence. The loudest thing in the world is the truth they try to hide. Keep the mic on, keep the eyes open. Keep the eye camera silent. Keep the eye camera silent. Keep the eye camera silent. It's the sound of love.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of The Straight Shooter with yours truly, Stephen A. Smith, coming at you every Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over the airwaves of Sirius XM, POTUS Radio, Channel 124. Number to call up, as always, is 866-967-6887. That's 866-967-6887, 866-96-POTUS. That is the number to call into the Stephen A. Smith Show. Lots of stuff to get into today. I've got a couple of people coming on as guests today that I'm looking very much forward in talking to. One of them is a former Capitol Hill officer by the name of Harry Dunn, who is running for Congress. He's a candidate for Congress, running to represent Maryland's 5th Congressional District. He's coming on to the show. And, of course, Governor Andy Beshear out of Kentucky, twice elected governor of the great state of Kentucky. They'll both be on the show today. Lots of stuff to get into with them. Obviously, January 6th affects Harry Dunn tremendously so. He's one of the officers that survived that insurrection. That's what I call it. That's what most sane people do call it in this day and age, because we saw what we saw over television. We saw it live, and we know what it is. In the case of Governor Beshear, there's a lot to get into in terms of the Governors Association, in terms of some things going on with ICE, along with other comments that he has made publicly, and get his feelings about that as well. Again, 866-96-POTUS is the number to call up. Interesting day. Breaking news over the last few minutes or so. And that breaking news essentially involves the fact that the House of Representatives in the United States narrowly passed the Save America Act in a 216 to 215 vote, mandating voter ID and proof of citizenship for federal elections. Okay. Apparently, rumors that Representative Thomas Massie cast the lone Republican vote against it is something that he's challenging, or at least he clarified. He said it's a false rumor that I voted against the Save America Act today. I'll vote for it when it comes to the floor. I voted against a quote unquote rule that allows it to get a vote, etc. But that's what it is. So it's going to pass, the Save America Act. And for those of you who don't know, the Save America Act, or the SAVE Act, most commonly refers to today to the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. It's a controversial proposed U.S. federal law focusing on changing voter registration requirements, essentially. That's what this comes down to. The Republicans are for it. The Democrats are adamantly against it. And you have what you have. That's one of the problems that's going on today. One of the other problems was Department of Justice, Attorney General Pam Bondi. She was on Capitol Hill just going at a bunch of people, okay? She wasn't messing around. Because obviously she was live on Capitol Hill facing questions about the Jeffrey Epstein files, the 3 million pages that were released by the DOJ and the Trump administration, the fact that so much stuff was redacted and that more stuff hasn't been released. Well, needless to say, she wasn't going to take the criticisms lying down. So for those people that haven't heard, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General on Capitol Hill, testifying against congressional representatives, you need to listen to it. Griff, take it away. Give me the first one, please.
Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files.
I'm reclaiming my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please stop the clock.
Stop the clock. Legislation. This is
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop a limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide.
See, ladies and gentlemen, that was Representative Ted Lieu. I believe that's how it's pronounced. But she was on the Hill. She got into it with him. Pam Bondi got into it with Republican Rep. Thomas Massie. She got into it with another Democrat, North Carolina representative, and of course, you know, Jasmine Crockett and her got into it as well. My question is this: how does any of this benefit us? Bunch of he said, she said. Okay, President Trump is the most transparent president there's ever been. This is Pam Bondi talking. Obviously, the Democrats feel otherwise. Obviously, they feel he's a pathological liar. Obviously, they think he has an abundance of things to hide, if not for himself, but to protect others when it comes to the Epstein files. Pam Bondi is on Capitol Hill testifying, and whatever veracity that's coming out of her mouth, there is no doubt it gets tainted by the inordinate amount of times that she said nothing when he didn't appear to be that truthful. She said nothing when he didn't appear to be that transparent. She said nothing when he originally took the position. Why is the Epstein file so much of a big issue when he campaigned on it otherwise? See, what I want to do is I want to use this opportunity before we have guests coming on this show to make sure everybody understands where I'm coming from. I don't give a damn about much of this. I do care when it comes to the Epstein files in terms of little girls that was sexually abused. A crime was committed, and any elected official, anybody that we know about that is guilty of those crimes need to be dealt with. They need to be punished. There's no question about that. And I'm certainly not trying to shove that aside like that's some insignificant issue. Their lives will forever be changed. And our compassion, our empathy, our sympathy, and everything else that comes with it from a sympathetic perspective needs to be thrown in their direction. And we need to be looking out for them. There is no question about that. But if you don't have hardcore evidence and you're just on Capitol Hill throwing accusations back and forth against Trump or in defense of Trump, we got a problem, because how do things really, really get done? You know, I'm sitting here today and I'm watching reports, and it's talking about how 130,000 jobs were filled in January, and how that number was a bit larger than anticipated. That would appear to be a good thing for the administration. It would appear to be a good thing to see the three indexes, whether it's the S&P, it's the NASDAQ, it's the Dow Jones, elevating. It would appear to be a good thing to see the unemployment rate at 4.3% as opposed to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. It would appear to be a good thing. But we don't even know what to deduce from that. I've got a governor coming on at the top of the hour, and I don't know what the hell he's going to say about this. If it falls in line with the rest of the Democrats, what we're going to hear is, you know what? What they got to do with the price of gas? What they got to do with the price of groceries? What they got to do with people paying their rent, their mortgages, etc. That's what we're going to hear. Damn, we're at a place right now in our society, we don't even know what to define as success. We don't even know what to define as positive, because the two sides are so polarized that nobody knows whether to consider something to be a good thing or a bad thing. We got a federal deficit. We got a U.S. deficit. We're wondering how much of GDP that's chewing up. We can't seem to make up our minds whether the tariffs are good or bad. We've got folks on the right talking about it's important that we deport people and send them on their way, men, women, and children, because we got too many immigrants, migrants in this country illegally. On one hand, that sounds about right, because we had a Democrat as president in Joe Biden that let millions upon millions of migrants into the country via open borders, and then didn't think a damn thing.
All right, y'all. So we're going to move right along. And I don't mean to do that and make it seem like it's unfair. It's just that when he gets to that point of the conversation, y'all let me know. If y'all want to hear him out and you want to, listen to what's going on and have a real conversation about that, we can do that. But some of that talk for me is just, it's a little bit, I don't agree with it. That's just all I'm going to say. Because when it came to all of those laws and those things being done and allowing immigrants or migrants to come into this country, one of the major reasons as to why they were doing that is because within their said countries, they had a lot of war and a lot of unsafety. And so the United States said that they would deem themselves to be a sanctuary country, and they had certain states that they assigned to be sanctuary cities. And so when it comes to sanctuary and keeping people safe and allowing people to leave from a place or a space or a predicament that is not safe for them. If you want to, open up your country, open up certain states within your country to allow people to come here as, individuals that are seeking sanctuary, that's something that I think is noble and I think that should be done. And that did happen. And a lot of the reason, if we actually get down to the nitty gritty of it, of that happening is because, well, never mind. I will save that for another conversation for another time. But anytime you want to be or say that you want to provide sanctuary for someone who is in a predicament that is not good or safe for them and their family or their children, and you want to, say that they can come here to find safety and benefit, we can't be sure, because I do know that certain things happen, within this governmental structure and system that are not just for those reasons alone. They're for other reasons. We all have to do our research and read into that and learn about that a little bit more. But it is what it is. If we have been deemed to be a country that is willing to bring people in and put them in certain places and spaces for sanctuary purposes, I don't think that's something we should be mad about. And if those people were given, they were given those messages, right? That it is safe here. You can come here. If you are under any danger, or if you feel as though, and what's happening in your country right now, you need a sanctuary place to come. And we are allowing that. If these people have been allowed into this country, the United States, because of those things, then that's what it is. So to turn around now and all of a sudden say, you don't belong here, you shouldn't be here, no one invited you, that's not true. Some of these people were invited. Some of these people were allowed in to come in for sanctuary purposes. And now all of a sudden, under a new administration, now it's like, okay, well, we don't recognize that. We don't feel that way. And you need to go back home where you came from. And that's what a lot of it is given. But you have to also pay attention to the fact that if there was an administration and laws and regulations that were put into place that told these people they can come here for safety and sanctuary, and that's why they are here, how can we overlook that? How can we say that they're here because they snuck in? Not everybody snuck in. A lot of these people were allowed in. And now that you no longer want them here because of whatever it is, you feel as though they're messing up or they're doing, or they're affecting the economy or the country in some type of way. Now, all of a sudden, you want to kick them out. But there's a lot of them that are here that were seeking sanctuary. And when they came to see said sanctuary, all of the things that they were required to do and the things that they desired to do, they did. That did bring a lot of benefit to this country, and a lot of cities and states within this said country, as they were holding sanction for the positions that they were in, which is sanctuary. They went to work. They was doing work. And then a lot of people, I understand, citizens of this country and stuff, feel a type of way because however these things play out, sometimes it's like sometimes, okay, they're here based off of sanctuary purposes. Maybe they may or may not be paying taxes. All of these things, like, these are the conversations that I've heard. These are the things that have come up that I've heard a lot of citizens have an issue with. Oh, they're here seeking sanctuary, and when they go to work, they're not getting taxed like we're getting taxed when we go to work. So we have a problem with them now. We want them out. I understand that, but give things and processes time. And I just don't think that we've had enough time with these processes, honestly, for a lot of stuff to pan out and work itself out the way it properly should, because there's too much hate and there's too much racism in this country and in this world, period. And so a lot of this, I think, derives from that. Okay. And there's a lot of jealousy, and a lot of people feel like there's unfair treatment. Oh, they're getting checks, they're getting paid. They don't have to pay taxes. They don't have to do the things that we have to do as citizens in this country. And so therefore, we don't like it. We don't like that they're here. We don't like all of the extra perks that they're getting, and we want them out. Okay, that's one thing. I understand that some people may feel that way and come from that type of, thinking point. But what I can say is, even if you do feel that way, right? And even if there are, administrations that's put in place to say, you know what, we're going to reverse all of this. Yeah, this is too much. I think some of these people should go back to the countries where they migrated from. Okay, that's one thing. But we need to talk about the severity, and we have been talking about the severity of the situation as to which you are trying to detain these people and send them back to said country because of these said purposes. If you want to send them back to their countries, if you want to kick them out because you feel like they're getting the better end of the deal, they're getting the larger straw, right? You still don't get to abuse these people. You still don't get to unalive these people. That is not the way to go about it. Even if we were just to sit here and try and say, okay, if that's your reason for wanting to send a lot of these people back to their hometowns and countries that they come from because you no longer want them here and you think it's interrupting with, the American citizens and their fair share that they get, they're coming in and taking or getting what we think American citizens are due, and American citizens aren't getting it. So why is it fair for them to get it? Even if that was the argument, you still don't get to abuse these people. You still don't get to unalive these people and mistreat them. So, I just don't really know where anybody really stands when it comes to that, because I do believe there is a healthy portion of people, American citizens, that whatever, was born on this soil and born in this country, and they have seen or they have felt that immigrants or migrants that have come to this country are getting more benefits than what they get. They're getting, a better experience here than what they have had. And they're like, that is not fair because we're here and we haven't benefited from any of these things. We don't get those set experiences. We don't get those set benefits. So why do they get to come here and get them and have them? Because we're talking about sanctuaries now, like sanctuary cities and states. These are migrants that have been invited into this country because what was happening in their country was so terrible and the living conditions were so bad. Our country says, you know what? You can come stay here for a few days. You can come stay here for a little bit because we know it's rough in the country where you're at and the things that you're experiencing and going through. So come here. We'll provide you safety. We'll put you up. We'll make sure you're all right. There's a lot of American citizens that don't like that as well because they have been overlooked. They have been passed over and they have not gotten the just due and a lot of these type of benefits that some of the migrants are getting. And I understand that. But it is not the migrants. It is not them. It's not their problem. It is the government and the way this government is set up and what they choose to do and how they choose to do it. If citizens are getting overlooked and not getting proper health care, if they're not getting proper funding, if they're not getting assistance, if we're not even looking after the homeless citizens that are on the streets of America, but yet you want to take the money and the funding and your attention and put it on migrants, I can understand why some citizens may be upset. I get it. But I do not think that despite all of that, it is right for migrants that have been given a promise to make it feel like they have not been invited because they were. And I do not ever think that it is okay for migrants or immigrants to be abused beaten in the streets, unalive in the streets, because now you just know this administration says no more. We don't want you here. You got to go. You're running the numbers up too much. Whatever it is your fight is or your plight is, we have to remember at the end of the day, we are human beings, all of us. It don't matter what country we come from, what language we speak, and what color our skin is. We are human beings, and no one deserves to be treated like that. So I don't know what is right. I don't know what's the right choice or decisions to make. Because I know we got citizens in this country that a lot of them voted for Trump and this administration because of this very thing. They wanted migrants and immigrants out of here. That's why they voted for them. That's what was important to them, because they got overlooked, they got bypassed, they weren't able to get the same respect and services that some of the migrants and the immigrants that's here in this country get. What am I supposed to say about that? How am I supposed to feel about that? I'm not a person who's greedy and looking over at somebody else's plate or somebody else's opportunity and be like, well, you know what? I ain't getting those benefits. So I don't think nobody else should get them either. And these people, especially if they ain't from this country, they need to go. That's not how I feel. That's not how I think or I move or operate. Do I understand that in this country, even us as citizens in this country that might have been born and raised on this soil do not get our proper just due? I know that to be true. I do. I really do. But I mean, to what extent were you going to go to because you didn't get your proper just due? Then you look at other people as if they're just so disposable. This country was trying to help these people, some of them. Now, whether some of these people that did get that opportunity, that chance to come on in, which a lot, honestly, can tell you they were invited in. Now, what you do in your time spent here is what you do. Same thing as what citizens do in their time spent here. Citizens of this country wreak havoc and hell. Okay? They commit crimes. They hurt and harm people. They steal. They snatch. They cheat. They do all of the same things that they're trying to say, oh, okay, we have so many migrants in this country, so many immigrants in this country that are wreaking havoc over cities and states and towns. Who was wreaking the havoc over those cities, states, and towns before migrants even came here? It was the citizens of these said cities, states, and towns and country. Doing it to our own people most of the time, to each other. So I think for me, that's the biggest problem that I have with a lot of this. It's the hypocrisy for me, because you want to place all of this blame as to what is going on in this country on immigrants and migrants. But really, even before there is a immigrant or migrant situation or issue that y'all thought was big enough to bring to the forefront and talk about and complain about, you have to understand that the citizens of this country do these same things every freaking day in this country, in these cities and states and towns. And if it is a crime, and if it is so terrible for these things to happen and be done, are we holding everybody accountable the same way? Then we break it down, and then we have to go into the conversation when it comes to race again, right? Because even if you are a citizen of this country and you are in these cities and these states, the same person can commit the same crime but get two different outcomes. Are we not going to talk about that? Are we not looking at what is going on right now with the Epstein files? We got Epstein, we had Weinstein, and there's so many more on the list. right? And then we know we was talking about the Diddy's and the R. Kellys, right? So we got all races and all groups and all different type of people that will go out and be out in this world, in this society, and do the nasty, heinous things that they do. But do we hold all of the same people accountable the same way based off of the things that they do? No, we do not. This is why we have the Pam Bondis, and we have the Kristi Noems, and we have the Donald Trumps sitting up here skating their way. And Lord, it's so many more I can put on the list. Skating their way out of crime and terror, right? But then, it becomes a racist issue and they want us to shut up and stop talking about it. But when it comes to minorities, Black people, brown people, Spanish people, they seem to get the gavel rained down on them harder than the other people. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve to get the gavel rained down on them for the crimes that they commit and the things that they do. But what I'm saying is, why is it not fair across the board? And we're just talking about in this country alone. So other races, when they doing or committing certain crimes, the gavel going to rain down hard on them. They're going to get it. They're going to get it. They're going to feel it. They're going to see it. But then we're sitting up here and we're looking at an administration full of criminals. We're looking at Epstein files right now. Nasty work. But does it just kind of seem to you sometimes that when it comes to race, certain races get the gavel rained down on them, and certain races, they get to just skate free with the things that they do? So please, with the hypocrisy, do not sit here and tell us as the American people that now you have all of this issue and all of this problem because migrants or immigrants have come to this country and you feel as though they are committing crimes. Crimes have been committed since the beginning of time. And the main ones who committed crimes, child, y'all don't want to have a real conversation about that. Y'all don't want to have a real conversation about who really started out committing these heinous crimes. People will run away from that. They don't want to hear about that. But if we were to be honest, how do you think this country even came about? Crime. Crime. Thievery. Slavery. Abuse. Come on, y'all. We know our history. We know what is going on in this country. We know how much blood has been shed in this country. And we know who stands at the forefront of being the first ones to do it. So you want to talk about crime? Let's take it back to the very beginning if you want to talk about crime. Huh? And these are the conversations that they don't want you to have. These are the conversations that they shy away from because it's the truth. But now all of a sudden it's the migrants and the immigrants. And before it was them, it was the Black people. Okay? And look what they're doing now. The very same thing they were doing in the beginning. Deny, deny, deny. Lie, lie, lie. And still feel as though that whenever they do something, it's noble. It's constitutional. It's not a crime. No, it's crimes. Y'all been committing crimes from the very first day you step foot on the soil. But now all of these crimes is so much bigger issue for you because it's people committing these crimes. And I'm not saying I believe in crime, y'all. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the hypocrisy for me. The biggest criminals are the ones that's now coming out having problems and wanting to say that other groups and races of people are these huge criminals that are destroying this country. This country was founded from criminals and crime-based behavior. Are we not going to sit here and act like that's not the truth? Are we going to sit here and act like we don't know that? Stealing, pillaging, killing, crime. That's all crime, you know. And who was the first ones to do it? So, I say all of that to say, look, if we had an administration that had a outreach of heart and wanted to put things in place to where they wanted to help people and welcome people to this country, to make it better, to make it a melting pot, to make it beautiful, then we have an administration that came in and thinks that's not the way to go about doing things. We don't like the way that looks. It's too colorful for us. And then you want to sit there and you want to stand down 10 toes down about crime. If we're going to have a conversation about crime, let's have a real one. Because I don't have time to sit here and listen to the boo-hoo tears from the Kens and the Barbies. They're sitting up here acting like they don't know what it is. And that we as the people don't know what it is. You want to talk about crime? Oh, and what are the crimes that's being committed? So there's murder. They say it's murder. You know, I have to mispronunciate to not be in trouble. There's that. And then there's all of this smuggling of Uggs into the country. Who you think first brought the Uggs to this country? Who do you think sit in labs every single day and create the Uggs? You think we need somebody to smuggle Uggs into this country when we got labs in this country that make them? Can we have a real conversation for once? I am just so tired of people having these false conversations of outrage when they act like they don't know what the truth is. We got chemists in labs that are making the Uggs in this country. They make them here. So what are you talking about? People smuggling Uggs into the country. Now, am I saying that they're not bringing Uggs into the country? I can't be sure about that. I don't see all of that stuff. Perhaps they are. But if I was going to say what I really want to say and what's on my mind, I think a lot of times when they coming across the rivers and the boats and the oceans and all of the things that they on to bring the stuff here, I think y'all asked them to bring it. I think y'all know about it. And then when things go left or they didn't go your way, now all of a sudden it's an issue and it's a problem. We're going to complain about it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Enough is enough. I'm sick of it. I'm very tired. I don't know if anybody else is very tired of the lies and the gaslighting and the bull that come out of these people's mouths. I'm tired of it. You think that we're dumb? We are not stupid. We've been here our whole lives, some of us. If you're a citizen, you're born and raised, on this land. And not even necessarily because your family or your bloodline wanted to be. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. A lot of us was taken and snatched our ancestor. So that's why we're here. To be put into slavery. To do the very things that you're saying, these are crimes. Well, you try to get our ancestors to do them for free. Free. They wasn't even getting paid. But you had all these plantations and all of these places and spaces where you had took slaves and brought slaves there to do this type of work. The work that y'all wanted done because you knew that was the type of work that was going to benefit and gain money. Come on. Do we need that? Like I said, these are all conversations for another live. And I will be doing them. We'll be talking about the cotton fields. We'll be talking about the tobacco fields. Sure will. We'll talk about all of that. Because come on, the hypocrisy for me. You snatched people, you brought them to a country that was unknown to them, you put them to work doing a lot of times illegal things. But because y'all had the reign and the power, you voted it into law and you made it legal. Now all of a sudden it's about all of these legalities. And don't even get me started when it comes to spirituality and religion. As if now all of a sudden that's coming out of the sideway mouth of every person. These likes of these people, as if you care, as if that was something that you support or you talked about or was important to you. Now all of a sudden you want to run along with that religion, spirituality, and then want to complain and cry about crime being committed. This whole country was founded off of crime. Don't nobody want to hear me talk like this though. Because see, when I talk like this when I get into trouble. This is when I get into trouble. I ain't lying. If I ain't lying, I ain't flying. I'm telling you. I get into trouble when I say it like this and keep it all the way 100. Straight up, straight like that. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So what are we talking about here? Crime. The whole country was founded off of crime. Now you we gotta crack down on crime. Yeah, okay. Let's keep going real quick and then we're gonna get into the next video, okay? We'll listen to just a little bit more of Stephen A. But after this, because this is a very long video, I can't listen to all of it, y'all. We'll listen to just a few more statements from him. And then after that, we will be getting into our next video that will be from none other than, y'all know, my favorite, Reese Waters. We'll get into his video as well. And then we also have a video from Jack Kosharella. I hope I'm saying his last name right. And he'll be talking about how Trump gets a resignation news that he feared the most, as the House is now revolting against him. So we'll talk about all of those in just a minute. But let's hear a little bit more from Stephen A. and we'll be right back.
Nor have a plan about how to address that issue. We had a candidate in Kamala Harris that appeared to be far more interested in making sure she didn't engage in what would be deemed as betrayal for anything that she spoke against than President Biden, as opposed to committing herself to winning the damn race. She wanted to make sure she didn't lose a supporter or a friend that was the president at that particular moment in time. Where'd I get the American people? We got Trump out here just days ago letting out a video. You didn't think I would forget that, did you? A video about a 2020 election being rigged yet again. The man is back in office, ladies and gentlemen. He's the commander-in-chief. He has more power and influence than he ever had in his first term, than he would have had if he had a consecutive second term. He's back in office and can't let go with his petty ass self. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And why I say petty ass? And why do I go off like that? Because it's exactly the reason why I didn't vote for him. I'm not getting into policy. I'm not telling you, his policies, because guess what? When we consider our national debt, when we consider the fact that our deficit has escalated above $38.3 trillion, nobody's doing good with that kind of a deficit. Where's the money management? Where's the strategy? Where's the planning? What the hell is going on? And it's at the expense of the American people that have been used as pawns and nothing short of suckers at the expense of both of these parties. I have nothing against any specific individuals, but as a body, as parties, I can't stand none of their asses. They make me sick because of this. We got a situation where you're going to put out a video of the former president and first ladies and images of them being apes. Was put on the video. He did not make the video. He simply posted it on his Truth Social channel. And then he pointed the finger at an unnamed staffer and blamed them for it. So let me get this straight. The unnamed staffer had access with the ability to post on Truth Social, Trump's personal Truth Social platform, at 11:44 at night. Trump had no knowledge of this, but it was up for 12 hours. Trump can't stay off his Truth Social post account for 12 minutes. But we supposed to believe that you didn't know anything about it for 12 hours. You got Caroline Levitt, the press secretary. First thing she jumped on was it being fake news and fake outrage, as if she was black and she could understand and she had a right to speak to the level of outrage black people were feeling. But still, to backtrack off all of that, and let me make sure I read her statement, which is posted right there. She said, this is from an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle and the Democrats as characters from The Lion King. Please stop the fake outrage and report on something today that actually matters to the American public. So you're supposed to define for us what matters? Let me be fair to Caroline Levitt, because if you are a Republican, you cannot hate on the job that she is doing. You can if you're a Democrat, not if you're a Republican, not if you're a member of the GOP. Let's just keep it a buck. But here's the deal. Black folks, Hispanic folks, respectfully, the Jewish community, would you be saying that if they were abhorred by something that resembled anti-Semitism? Would you sit up there and tell them, can we focus on something more important? Why is such verbiage reserved for black people? I can assure you, Caroline Levitt, black folks care about the economy. We care about safety in the streets. We care about the borders. I will never go against Donald Trump for closing the borders. My position has been very clear from day one. Biden opened it, that's why it had to be closed. If he had followed the Obama plan, the man that served under Barack Obama as his vice president, when he became president, had he followed Obama's plan, who deported 3.1 million people, none of this would be necessary.
All right, so we're going to move along in just a moment, and I have another video we're going to get into as far as if y'all haven't seen the nasty piece of work that Pam Bondi was when she was at the hearing. Okay, and there were Epstein survivors that were sitting right behind her. She gave them no acknowledgement and cared nothing about them at all. But one question that I have for the masses, for anybody who may be listening out there, when we're talking about these borders, right, and however many people are able to cross said borders. Now, I do understand, people like things to be lawful. Okay, people should do things lawfully. If you want to come from a different country to this country, you got to come lawfully. I know for damn sure when, us as United States citizens try to travel and even go for a vacation to other countries, we have to do it lawfully, right? Even not just the fact that we going there to live, but we may just want to go there to visit and have a good time and have a vacation. You have to follow certain laws. So I understand laws need to be followed and respected. But what I'm saying is, if we have an administration that said that at that moment of time, they were going to allow foreigners to come to this country for sanctuary purposes, because whatever was happening in their country was putting them in harm's way and they could come here to seek refuge and safety, then that's something that that administration put into place. And then another administration comes into place and says, well, we don't like that they put that into place. We don't think it should be that way. We're going to change all of that around. And the ones who have come, even under those circumstances, we no longer want you here and you have to get out. Now, do you think that is fair? What if you are someone who came to a country or this country in sanctuary status? Like you were coming here seeking help and refuge because the things that were happening in your country was wreaking havoc and harm in your country and making the living standards unsafe for you and your family. If there is a country that said you can come here and gain safety, and we say it is okay, and you come, now all of a sudden the new administration says, well, they got to go. Okay. All right. Now, we'll be getting into this next video because this next video, this is, you know, in kind of correlation with what Pam Bondi has been saying, what Stephen A. Smith was saying about Pam Bondi. Now, when he's talking about that, you know, I will speak on that. As far as him talking about how he feels with the immigration laws and things of that nature, that's just not something that I personally like get down with or agree with, because just in a humane way, I don't think that that's cool. I don't think it's cool, and I don't think it's right. And so I'm not saying I think people should be able to break laws and sneak in and slide in without doing things the proper way. But if people have been invited, like you get an invitation, that's like I have a party or I have something and I have invitations that I send out, and I send these invitations and these people show up. And then I'm tired and I go to sleep and somebody else is hosting my party. And that person that's hosting the party says, you know what? We don't want the likes of these people here, so we're going to kick them out. But I originally was the one who sent the invitation out and said they could come. Do you think that's fair for the people on the other side of that, for the switch up to be so quick and brief? I don't think it's right. And a lot of these people are seeking sanctuary here in this country because a lot of things that are happening in their said countries have been orchestrated and started by this country. If we're not going to keep it above. So that's just something I have a problem with entirely. It's just like, it's the hypocrisy for me. It's the lies. It's the nasty work. It's the racism. It's all of it. I'm tired of really all of it. And all of this derives from all of those places. All of the places it derives from are dark places, selfish places, discriminatory places. And I don't rock with none of that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this next video. First, we'll take a song break and then we'll play the next live. I'll be right back, y'all.
Human, blood and bone and soul. The right to be loved, the right to be made Check the vision, the mission of the television, spitting division, a mental prison. Got the youth chasing likes, addicted to the feed, ignoring the hunger, the fundamental need. They building paper idols on a digital stage, putting our future daughters in a virtual cage. Now we gotta break the cycle, gotta cut the cord. The real word is powerful, mighty giving the sword. So we teach them about their history, teach them about their grace, teach them about the power, every single face.
We are human, blood and bone and soul, with the right to be hate, the right to be whole.
This is our story, this is our sacred song. In the eyes of the Creator is where we all belong. We are human, worth more than they can price. Beyond the hateful whispers and the loaded ties. We'll build a world where every voice is heard and valued. And truth is not a whisper, but a mighty, thundering word. A word of justice, a word of peace, a promise that the fight will never cease. This ain't just a track, it's a call to action. For every mother, father, every single fraction of the community holding it down on the ground. Time to get loud, make a revolutionary sound. Look your child in the eye, tell them that they matter. Tell them their spirit's something to know like a shadow. Tell them knowledge is the weapon, love is the shield, and the truth is the harvest. We're gonna grow in this field. Yeah.
Human.
Oh, yes we are.
Feed that human.
Oh, near and far. Let them know the sacred word for every single soul on this earth.
Quiet.
Human.
Right to live.
Right to live. Human. A gift to give.
All right, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and get to this next video. And if y'all have not seen it, but I'm pretty sure most of you have, the disgust and display from Pam Bondi. Okay. Child, my 3-year-old son could have handled that hearing more maturely than she did. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it so y'all can just see some of the things that were done and that were said, and exactly why people feel the way they feel, as far as, these individuals being in these places and spaces that they're in that don't really care anything about the people. So let's go ahead and watch a little bit of this, and we will be right back.
Co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer the
theatrics are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked it.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch. Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
I'm going to teach you the rules again. You're the Attorney General of the United States. We have rules here.
You're obsessed with him.
You're the Attorney General of the United States.
You're
And the rules.
obsessed with Donald Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome.
That's just one of the many contentious exchanges yesterday.
It's just childlike. I've got to say, there was an Atlantic piece a couple weeks ago asking what happened to Pam Bondi. I mean, a lot of people in Florida that worked with, simply restating what Pam Bondi had said the year before in a court filing about service people breaking the law, but she lets it move forward without thinking. That continues, Willie.
Yeah, and a grand jury rejected that argument a couple of days ago in federal court in Washington. But, I mean, you're right. It's a question we have asked and could ask about so many people over the last decade or so. Has it been worth it? Was it worth it to give up everything you said you stood for, everything you did stand for in many cases, to be close to power? And you're right. I mean, the insults, the talking points, the performative outrage that we saw from the Attorney General were all outrageous and ridiculous. But what they mask is the fact that she would not answer any questions about the Epstein files, which raises the question, and again, I don't know why they're doing all of this, raises the question of who she, the Attorney General, is protecting and why she is protecting that person or those people, not answering basic yes or no questions about indictments, facts inside the Epstein files, redactions in the Epstein files. Wouldn't answer them, instead went to her notes and attacked the person asking the question, including, as you pointed out, this is the moment Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, responded to a question from New York Congressman Jerry Nadler, asked her about how many of Epstein's co-conspirators have been indicted. Here's how she responded.
None of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing.
It's the Attorney General of the United States asked about the rape of teenage girls, Joe.
Yeah, we're laughing because she's making a fool of herself.
Complete fool of herself.
Like she actually thinks,
brutally obvious.
She actually thinks that everybody's a 5-year-old in that room.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's exposed, making a fool of herself. The question is about young girls who have been raped, not about the S&P 500. The question is about people all around Donald Trump. I could list the names, those in government, those in his family, those around him that are all over the Epstein files. All over the Epstein files. And yet the richest and the most powerful among them, the people, the Epstein class who is running this government, is still being protected by Pam Bondi. Her binders full of... She, of course, co-sponsored the discharge petition for the release of the Epstein files. And this is what the Republican had to say to Pam Bondi yesterday.
Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
He was,
Mr.
this
Chairman.
isn't how this works.
Can I have my time back?
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from...
All right, I'm reclaiming my
Can I give
time.
my answer?
So I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman, may I give my answer on that? It's
Here's
a political
the question.
joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question.
You can give
Within
me-
40 minutes, Wexner's name was...
Did y'all hear that? Okay, she said this is a political show, and I'm going to give my answer. Listen, I know that these things get publicized and they put out for the public to see, but it is not a show. This is not a show. It is not a, Housewives show. It is not a political show. This is not Olivia Pope or anything like that. This is real serious government. And this what goes to show you what these people and how these people move and operate and what they think. They think that all of this is just a show, that is some type of entertainment. These things affect people's lives in serious ways. The decisions that y'all make and y'all come up with affect citizens' lives, people's lives, not just in this country, but also in other countries as well. It is not a show. It's not a show. And that, that type of stuff bothers me. Like, what is wrong with y'all? Do y'all think everything is just a reality TV show these days? It's not a show. I know that's where Trump came from. I know he was doing shows and stuff before he became president and having these positions to put y'all in these positions. But none of this is a show. It's not an act. It's not funny. It's not a script. Do your job and do it right.
Added back
Then 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed, there was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
4,700,
Okay.
and we invited
You know what?
you
Share-
in.
share the video.
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
Gentlemen,
You need to
I'm
go
gonna
on
let you
these
watch the
matters.
video.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the
himself.
rules here.
There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
My position is any victim who comes forward, of course, we would love to hear from them. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I'm reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because
time
this
when
is
you don't-
bigger than
when you can't-
Watergate.
when I don't answer
this,
a question the
This
way you
goes
want.
over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
Yeah, the cover-up spans decades.
Basically the face of it.
She thinks she's now the face of the cover-up for this administration, and she can keep trying to talk over people, but that doesn't obscure the fact that she's part of a huge cover-up.
It was a very helpful display.
There's all these redactions. It took him forever to do it. She wouldn't even let him read. Think about this. She would not even let him read the law. She started into her petty little insults because she did not want a United States congressman to read the law that passed the House of Representatives 427-1. And she said she was ready to hear from the victims. No, the victims stood up, and she refused to turn around and even look at them. Let me say that again. The victims, there were many victims who were there, and Pam Bondi refused to turn around and even look at them. Instead, she comes with these literally 5-year-old insults. If I'm that, what does that make you? Basically, is it a failed lawyer or burned out whatever or Trump derangement? No. Those that have Trump derangement syndrome are those who've basically thrown all of their professional careers overboard because they're so deranged at trying to get into the good graces of Donald Trump that they will literally ignore child rape victims when they're right behind them.
So if we could put that shot up where it's Bondi, 2-shot with the victims. I just think it's interesting because here was her moment on the national stage as the Attorney General of the United States, to be a woman who stands up for other women.
She won't turn around.
She decided to turn her back on victims of repeated sexual abuse, some of them at the time in their lives when they were children. That right there is who Pam Bondi is now. And I mean, for Republicans who remain silent, who continue to follow in these footsteps, it's going to get harder. As you could see yesterday, it's getting harder to do what you do because it looks terrible. It looks so obvious. It looks so brutally obvious that you are not working for the American people at all.
Are working for these women who, as young girls, were trafficked, were abused, were molested, were passed around.
I just can't believe as a woman she would put herself in that position.
And so now we have the
an American
image of her turning her back on child rape victims, and she's doing it literally and in her work as the Attorney General.
And these victims even say now they would go back in and work with the Justice Department with her after that. And nothing.
They don't work. Let's bring in
All right, y'all. So I just want to play a little bit of that so y'all can hear some of the direct conversation that was happening with, Pam Bondi at the hearing, how she responded so smugly and just really didn't seem to care. But anyway, we're going to get into our next audio. So this is from Jack Kosherella, and he's talking about Trump is getting resignation news that he feared the most as the House is revolting against him. So let's go ahead and get into that audio, y'all. We'll listen to that real quick, and then we'll get into our final video, which is pretty funny. But we'll get into our final video for the live, and then we'll be done. But let me get this pulled up real quick. Hold on, here we go. And then we're just gonna listen to the audio on this one, okay? Oh Lord, I cannot believe this stuff. I don't know if y'all can believe it. Like this, it's just every day it's something, and it's just, Lord, it's too much. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and get into the audio, y'all, and I'll meet y'all in the chat. Be right back.
6 Republicans just revolted against Donald Trump, handing a major blow to him in his effort to continue to abuse his tariff power. And somehow that wasn't even the worst news that Donald Trump got at the hands of his own party. Because Mike Johnson's majority right now, it is barely functioning. He is speaker in title alone. He cannot pass anything. He cannot defend Donald Trump. And it just got even worse with some resignation news that both Donald Trump and Mike Johnson were greatly fearing. And it comes as Donald Trump has never been more unpopular. And on 2 issues specifically, the economy, which is why Republicans just revolted over tariffs, and ICE, which is why we are getting this breakdown from Rachel Maddow before this big resignation report.
If you're looking for ways to punch your moral dance card at the moment, if you're, say, Paul Weiss, with your radioactive Epstein files chairman stuffed into the back office where you hope no one notices him, where your firm is literally described now as the face of capitulation, right? When you're trying to avoid a picture of your firm appearing in the history books in the chapters on the shameful cowardice of the once vaunted and powerful American legal profession in the face of the tiniest nudge from a tin pot dictator. If you are Paul Weiss or you're another firm that's in that boat, you have the opportunity to have a very big and very important 2026. Because the very contingent, as yet undecided fight over whether or not America is going to let Donald Trump build a huge new constellation of black site prison camps in this country, that is a fight that needs legal firepower, that needs pro bono lawyers donating their time. There's representing people who are already in the existing camps. A record number of people being held right now in what we know are atrocious conditions. There's also representing people with habeas corpus petitions, right? Non-lawyers hearing that phrase don't know what I'm talking about, but lawyers instantly know what that is, right? The administration defying court orders was supposed to be such a bright red line for the vaunted American legal profession. Well, where is the administration defying court orders every day? Courts all over the country, from Minneapolis to Massachusetts, say that federal court orders are being violated every day, over and over and over again, specifically when it comes to the Trump administration arresting people and locking them up indefinitely without any chance to go to court to be heard, which, of course, is the basis of the writ of habeas corpus.
Dropshipping has never been this easy. I know this because I've built multiple
They're not supposed to be able to lock you up in prison without putting your case before a court. In Massachusetts, one federal judge last week went so far as to order the Trump administration to advise every single person they arrested and locked up, to advise them in writing and in multiple languages, that every single person the Trump administration is locking up has the right to petition a federal court to review their case and potentially set them free. The judge ordered that the Trump administration needs to give every single person they lock up written notice of their right to a habeas corpus petition in a federal court. And then she ordered that within 3 hours of anybody being given that notice, they need to be given access to a telephone, quote, to call an attorney. Whereupon perhaps they could call Paul Weiss. Perhaps Big Law, which has a lot to make up for now, perhaps Big Law could dig down deep and try to find its soul somewhere amid the tidal wave of habeas corpus petitions that ought to be filed by all these thousands of men, women, and children Trump is arresting all over the country and locking up literally without due process, without any access to the courts. And why is he doing that? Well, he's doing it in part to create an artificial need for tons more space in Trump prison camps, which they are trying to build in huge numbers right now.
Everywhere you look, Donald Trump is losing because he is incredibly unpopular. And everyone recognizes that, especially the cynical operators within the Republican Party. It is why we are seeing more retirements and resignations from Congress than we ever have before. The political environment is too toxic for some, and the opportunity to win their seat is too small for others. It's why many Republicans are moving on. And one who already announced his retirement, that this would be his last term in Congress, is giving Donald Trump some news, or some news is being reported about him that is very much scaring the president and his stooge Mike Johnson. With House GOP majority teetering on the brink, Florida Congressman plans to retire early. Report. Representative Neil Dunn, a Republican from Florida, is planning to announce an early retirement next week, according to Florida politics publisher Peter Shorich, an exit that would drag the House majority out the door with him. Dunn, 72, announced last month that he decided, after much prayerful consideration and discussion with his family, to not seek re-election. Currently, Republicans have the majority in the House by a very narrow margin, 218 to 214, and 3 seats vacant, meaning anytime Speaker Mike Johnson is facing a party line vote, he can only afford to lose a single Republican member's support. Tied votes fail, and there is no tiebreaker for the House, like the role that Vice President J.D. Vance serves in the Senate. In other words, Dunn making an early exit would have repercussions beyond just the representation of his district in the Florida Panhandle, making it all but impossible for Johnson to move any bills forward unless he can win over at least one Democrat while preserving the unanimous support of his caucus. Peter Schorsch, a Florida politics veteran, wrote, Florida Paul trying to track down rumor that Republican Neil Dunn is resigning imminently rather than at the end of his term, which he previously announced. Dunn stepping down now would imperil the House majority, and this is a developing story. So the report as it stands right now is that Neil Dunn is weighing whether he is going to be resigning next week, that next week he might be calling it quits because this is just too much to bear. And that actually makes a lot of sense in the context of what we just saw play out with Donald Trump and his tariff threats, taking to Truth Social and saying that the 6 Republicans who voted to strip him of his tariff power, to move forward in stripping him of his tariff power, that they should face major consequences come election day, not just in primaries, but beyond. And it has been well documented that Republicans feel a real fear of physical harm from Donald Trump supporters when they vote against him, when they break with him, and when Donald Trump tweets about them. It is something that Indiana Republicans had to deal with, but they made the smart move of working together. They had a bigger coalition that it made difficult for Donald Trump to go after them all. It's something that Republicans should probably learn. Strength in numbers. He can't tweet about everybody. And so if you're a Republican who maybe doesn't want to go along with some of the extreme elements that we are going to see coming forward, I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump is forcing Mike Johnson to attack polling locations, to declare, emergency powers for him, to hand over his Article 1 powers. Anything could happen in the next couple of months, which is why it's more important than ever that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and other Democrats start to come up with plans to make sure that there's not an ICE agent at every ballot box, that Donald Trump isn't deciding that he wants to attack or try to stop mail-in voting. I don't know. There is so much that could happen. And if you're a Republican that just wants to be done, resigning would not give Democrats the gavel, but it would effectively end Mike Johnson's time as Speaker. Nothing would happen in the House of Representatives. So if you didn't want to catch the fury for being the person to stand in the way of Trump, you could just be like, I'm done. I'm done. And that's what's being reported right now. Neil Dunn is considering resigning. That next week he could say, I'm out of here. It's about to warm up at the Panhandle, right? We're going to spend some time in Destin. I don't know where it's like, it's a good beach in the Panhandle. I am a Floridian. It's okay. And maybe he's done. Maybe he's finished. Maybe he's saying adios. I'm done. I watched the Bad Bunny halftime show and now I just want to shake it. Okay. I could understand that feeling. I'm needing a vacation myself. But that is what Donald Trump is currently staring down. Republicans who either are or want to quit on him. And if we don't get this resignation next week, I'll be a little disappointed. But the fact that we're even talking about it is a tremendous blow to Donald Trump and shows how politically impotent he is. And it is only getting worse as Donald Trump loses other battles in the House of Representatives, this time at the hands of House Democrats like Jason Crow, who just beat Donald Trump in court and was bragging about it and driving him a little crazy.
About what that said when you got the word that the court looked at the facts and went, get out of here.
Well, the system in this case held. The system worked.
Yeah.
That is the beauty of a grand jury or any jury, right? The founders actually designed it for exactly this purpose in mind.
Mm-hmm.
That you could have a rogue runaway presidency that's going to weaponize the government against political opponents, as we have in this case. But a jury of the peers are going to say, no, not on our watch. We're not going to do it. That's the first important part here. The second is, I think folks absolutely know what's really going on here. This is not about us or Mark Kelly or Alyssa Slotkin, and it actually isn't even about the video. What the administration and Donald Trump in particular is trying to do is send a message to Americans that if you dare dissent, you dare speak up and step out of line, you will be crushed.
Yep.
So you all better fall in the line. But we are not going to be threatened. We're not going to be intimidated. And he picked the wrong people because we're not backing down.
There you go.
When you say he picked the wrong people, he picked the wrong people in part in his targets. He also picked the wrong people writ large. The New York Times refers to what happened potentially being read as a citizens' revolt, that you have American citizens who are actually the final line and the final check on this so-called justice system here in this country. You're pushing it even further. You have a letter from your attorney that is demanding that Jeanine Pirro never take legal action against you, saying the indictment was a misuse of power. The reports that your office tried and failed to secure an indictment against Congressman Crow represents a breathtaking and unprecedented level of prosecutorial overreach and misuse of power. Accordingly, this letter is a demand that you take no further action against Congressman Crow and puts you and those pursuing any further charges on notice of the legal ramifications if you do so. Have you heard back from her office?
No, we haven't. And here's why we sent that letter. It's really important right now that we start imposing costs on people who are abusing the system, who are turning their back on the Constitution, who are violating the law. They just can't be doing this with impunity. They have to know that we're making lists.
The man keeps losing and losing and losing. He's losing Republicans. He's losing tariff power. He's losing support for his immigration agenda, which becomes more unpopular every single day. And Democrats need to go on offense, calling it out when they win, make Trump look weak. And that is exactly what Mark Kelly did. And why I'm bringing that up, because we're posting about it on Shift, where you can subscribe, of course, down below. hit that link. It'll take you so you can subscribe to Shift. You can also click right here, and you can watch Mark Kelly after defeating Donald Trump in court, bragging about it. People ask me, why'd you start another channel? Because we need more people to see this video of Mark Kelly talking about how Donald Trump is weaponizing the justice system and how he is losing. That's
All right, y'all. So we made it to the end of that video. As you can see, you know, based off of everything we're hearing, that one was audio only, but y'all heard enough to know exactly what is going on and what's going down. But we're gonna get into our final video for the live for this evening, and this is more so around like the celebrity based one, and it's also comedy because you know I'm trying to end it now when doing these lives with a little bit of laugh and a little bit of funny, so we can, you know, not leave feeling so depressed and so defeated about a lot of these things that's going on. That's really BS, if you ask me. But anyway, this is FAFO session from none other than Reese Waters. And this is about Bad Bunny and how he brings the FAFO season to Real Housewives. So let's go ahead and get into this for a little bit, y'all. I don't know if we're going to play all of it. We're just going to play some of it. But is going down. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to get everything set up. Before we play that, let me just play a little quick song, and then I'll be right back. Okay? Give me just a sec.
They told you stay entertained, stay distracted, stay divided. I said, stay dangerous. Let's go. We here. You want the tea, you want the beef, you want the who said what. But when it's time to build a life, you keep your big mouth shut. You binge watch chaos, call it keeping informed. But when it's time to grow, suddenly you're bored. They did it to the circus, dancing for $1 bill. Well, they harvesting your focus, popping every kind of pill. Algorithm got you trapped in digital, it's every channel. And you rather watch a dummy captain claim your sovereignty. You feel it, don't you? I know you do. That pressure in your chest, that whisper saying you are built for more than this. Breathe it in. High frequency, we don't vibrate low. Cause the signal noise, let the real ones grow. Let them breathe. Wake up, stand tall, break the spell. We ain't building our minds in a digital cell. Let them fight. They got you saying no, no. Never. Truth so heavy, make the weak ones will. Mind that the truth gets strong, then let them fall. Give love. Keep it pushing. They call it discontent, I call it control. It numbs your spirit, it's a tax on your soul. You're arguing in comments by the rapper summer dress, while you're suffocating slowly in the world of pure distress. They fear the one man who thinks for herself. Sarah Home gon' race crown and don't chase wealth. Golden queen, 10 toes down in the mud. Change your chasing lights and spilling everybody's blood. Are you listening? Are you entertained? Enslaved, sucker and found. Is the gospel worth your soul? Plug the wire, activate the cell. Mama warrior told you, never in the smoke. High frequency, high frequency, crush it. I'm freaking cheese. Single noise, let the real light out. Get real sloppy. Stand tall, break the spell. We ain't building our minds in a digital cell. Hurry up. High frequency, crown dome till. Truth so heavy, the weak ones will. Truth so heavy, lay them fuse free. And rule a million sleeping sheep. Now the shit right on point. Yeah, numbers drop when the truth gets loud. But I'd rather have the crown than the brain is proud. Wanted the war, run the mud to the throne. From silence to signal, mama warrior, golden queens of the sky. Static gone. Close. Static flat band.
All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get into our final video of the day. And this is going to be from Reese Waters, y'all. So we're going to get us a little bit of dose of comedy up in here. As you know, I like him. I think he's hilarious. He makes really great content, very intellectual as well. And he mixes a great dose of intellect and comedy. So, you know, he gives us a great performance every time. Let's go ahead and get into a little bit of this, y'all, and I'll meet y'all in the chat.
Housewives of Potomac. Y'all get in on this. They jumping. Yeah, come down here and get your free licks in. Huh? No, I don't watch. I ain't watching since Candace left. Yeah, I'm in the Candace hive, like forever. I mean, I peek on it from time to time, make sure they treating Wendy and Stacey okay. Hey, Wendy and Stacey, they doing y'all right? Okay. Y'all let us know if Giselle and Ashley start acting up. Just send a note. Don't drag it out like Ashley divorce. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. I'm Reese Waters, and this is Racist of the Week, where we explore the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And of course, if you have any nominees, you can drop them in the comments. You can email me at admin@reesewaters.com. So MAGA, when you see Black or brown people celebrating, enjoying one another, commiserating, tell me where it hurts. Just can you point where is? Hey, no, don't touch that. Isn't that what you always complain about? That's profane. I got kids watching my stream. I sound like y'all now. Hey, it didn't have to be like this, MAGA. It really didn't. Y'all could have just sat there and ate those ketchup packets, but no.
Here's one of the methods we use to boost our son's grades at school, and it is with Smile Zimmy.
So we all agree. Now we all
Pam.
agree. I agree. I said it before that it was the worst halftime show ever, and it's 250 years that we're celebrating right now in the United States, and I just don't think it was appropriate to have it in Spanish. And quite frankly, I didn't need to see him grabbing his, G area. I think it was totally inappropriate. You've got all these young kids watching the Super Bowl, and he doesn't have to be grabbing himself every 5 seconds. Is he so insecure? Seriously, I didn't understand it. I don't speak Spanish. I would have liked to have known the words he was saying. To me, it looked like a political statement because there were literally no white people in the entire thing. I think it was a political statement, and I'm not taking a side one way or the other. I just do. I think it was an ICE thing. And I just think that the NFL sold out, and it's very sad because this was 75 years, and shame. And Lady Gaga got a facelift. I didn't recognize her. I literally had to Google her face to see who it was because we all couldn't agree who it was. So that was kind of fun in the middle of halftime. At least it gave me something to do because it was so hard to watch.
What was the wildest thing to you about that? Was it her saying there was no white people and within 20 seconds mentioning Lady Gaga? Was it that? Was it? Are you going after like the early 1900s definition of white? Is it just English and Irish? Or y'all don't even rock with the Irish like that? So just English and German? English and German constitutes white. The Italians don't get to be white no more. Was it that? Was it that? Or the fact that, why would you bring up that she got a facelift? Why would you even?
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
You out here sounding like Jake Paul questioning Bad Bunny's American status as a Puerto Rican while he live in Puerto Rico. Come on. You saw how we had to do Brett Favre when he decided he wanted to pop up. If you've been able to rock for this long, why can't y'all just Why can't you quit while you're ahead? Why would you quit while you're ahead? And and I blame anybody else who was there. Anybody else who was there while they heard her talking about Lady Gaga's facelift, because it don't look like that was a live stream. It looked like she recorded that and posted it. The fact y'all didn't snatch her phone before she posted that is irresponsible. You know what I mean? It's irresponsible. It's what it is. We need to take accountability and responsibility for one another if we want to build this country again. You can't have that lady out there talking about somebody's facelift. That's not the America that I want. That's not the America that I want. And as far as your political statement, oh, you mean love is more powerful than hate? Is that what you? That's your political statement? Irregardless of the nonsense of you simultaneously saying there was no white people and then taking a shot at Lady Gaga, how integrated was the Turning Point USA? I ain't even see no black hats over there. I ain't even see no black hats. They couldn't even wear black pants over there. It's true. I heard that Lee Bryce showed up with some black shoes and they made him change them. They made him change them. They gave him a pair of yellow issue bowling shoes. I also heard that's why the footage doesn't look that good, because when they originally pre-shot it, they showed up with these professional black cameras and they said no black cameras. They shot it all on white iPhones. That's why the footage looks like that. Now, what's particularly wild about this is we have a litany of examples of how pick-me ends, especially within MAGA. And FAFO season is undefeated. Jill Zarin fired after calling out Bad Bunny's Super Bowl performance for having no white people, as even her daughter fails to defend her. Hey, you got any other kids? Zarin's daughter, Allie Shapiro, whom she shares with ex-husband Steven Shapiro, also disagreed with her mom and commended Bad Bunny's performance. In my opinion, I loved it. The cinematography was fantastic. It was like they put a filter over it. It looked like a film. She continued, best halftime show in years, which honestly is weird to even call it that. It was like a true performance with a storyline and actors and the direction. Lighting, everything was perfect. She didn't like it that much. She put extra on that. That's your daughter. She put extra on that. I don't know what you said to her, but we don't be talking like that. Like that was about you. Jill Zarin's dreams of returning to reality TV have been dashed after she was fired from E's upcoming reality TV series, The Golden Life, over racist comments she made about Bad Bunny's halftime show. After her video went viral, Zarin, who has since deleted the post, was fired. No, wait. Since deleted the post? How we not standing on business? If that's how you felt, how you gonna speak out in defense of MAGA and an administration got ICE running rampant, just got kids doing black marker all through the Epstein files? Now you speak out in defense of MAGA, but because you get some blowback, now you want to delete it? We way past that. Hell no, to the no, yeah, to the no. In light of recent public comments made by Jill Zarin, Blink 49 Studios has decided not to move forward with her involvement in The Golden Life. We remain committed to delivering the series in line with our community standards and values from the show's producers. Huh. Wow. Blink and you're gone, ain't it? It's blink and she was gone. She was back to unemployed. Wow. Well, you know what? On the bright side, you maybe the next series. What come after the Golden Life? The Shady Pines. They got a series on the Learning Channel. The series was also set to include Ramona Singer.
Now you said Shady Pines, not Shady Pines, yo. Yo, I cannot. Job. You be having me cracking. Shady Pines, Golden Palace, any of those, like, you know, okay.
Sonia Morgan, Luann de Lesseps, and Kelly Ben Simone. After her rant, Morgan seemingly shaded Zarin with a post on her Instagram commending Bad Bunny for his performance. Celebrating with my chosen family Bad Bunny's Grammy, while also reiterating he's the first Latino to win one and just showing my love for my Latino friends and supporters. She didn't just get fired. She got dragged by the people that didn't get fired. I like this. Anybody else want to get in on that thing? Morgan isn't the only housewife to condemn Zarin. Real Housewife of Orange County star Tamra Judge, who co-starred with Zarin on season 2 of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, tweeted, "What the actual F?" Real Housewives of Dubai star Chanel Ayan tweeted, "I had to unfollow disgusting" with a vomit emoji. Real Housewives of New Jersey star Margaret Joseph tweeted, "I'm horrified, disgusted, and disappointed. But that's my feeling every day, but elated by the NFL and Bad Bunny's beautiful representation of America." That was a beautiful representation of America. A good old-fashioned dragon. Hey, Real Housewives of Potomac, y'all get in on this. They jumping. Yeah, come down here and get your free licks in. Huh? No, I don't watch. I ain't watching since Candace left. Yeah, I'm in the Candace hive, like forever. I mean, I peek on it from time to time, make sure they treating Wendy and Stacey okay. Hey, Wendy and Stacey, they doing y'all right? Okay. Y'all let us know if Giselle and Ashley start acting up. Just send a note. Don't drag it out like Ashley divorce. Even Zarin's former company, Zarin Fabrics, called her out for her post. Zarin Fabrics stands firmly against racism, discrimination, and rhetoric that seeks to exclude or diminish people based on identity, culture, or background. We want to be absolutely clear that Jill Zarin has not had ownership of or been associated with Zarin Fabrics for several years. Your old company came out and posted that? They came out the woodworks. They came out the woodworks for that. When's the last time they tweet? When's the last time they posted on Instagram? Huh? They ain't posted on Instagram since the Obama administration. They dusted. Who got the password? No, we dragging Jill. We dragging Jill. No, who got the password? Oh, Jill got the password? Ask her nicely what to. Matt, nah, let's just guess it. Hey, put in where the white people at. One housewife seemingly on Zarin's side is her former Housewives of New York co-star Bethany Frankel. Okay, we feeling froggy. Who shared similar sentiments to Zarin in a since-deleted TikTok video.
We've got great news for seniors.
All right, y'all. So I just wanted to show y'all a little bit of that live and that clip right there. We're going to go ahead and end the video now. If y'all want to watch that whole video, please go over and check out Reese Waters. Subscribe and watch some of his videos because, y'all, he's hilarious. And he didn't even get all the way into it, okay, with the comedy because I cut it short a little bit because we didn't went over time here a bit. But that mess was hilarious. So the housewives is out here, they mad, y'all, and they're losing their jobs for it. When the truth sounds off, it sure is a thing, isn't it? But anyway, y'all, that's all I got for this one. I will see y'all on the next live. Thank you for rocking with me. on this one. I will talk to y'all a little bit later or probably tomorrow, one of the two. I have not decided yet. But yeah, let's go ahead and end it with a bop per usual. And I'll see y'all in the next one, okay? Golden out. Bye.
Yeah. You thought you was safe? Yeah. Yeah. You thought you was safe or good? Everybody looking for a home, looking for a click, looking for a place where the realness sticks. We out here building, trying to be free, but you just here to use them plain to see. I see you a user, a culture vulture, a leech, acting like you love the speech just so you can preach. You see the glow, you wanna get near it. You hear the soul, you try to engineer it. Wanna be in the circle, get the benefits, but you ain't put the work in. You just counterfeit. You a political operative, smiling in their face, just a snake in the grass, trying to take their place. We out here searching for a tribe, trying to be free, trying to live our best life, but the snakes stay close, wearing a disguise. Now you got mad, showed your true self, no surprise. You been popped, dumb bitches, read your rights. You been popped, dumb bitches, read your rights. Yeah. It's the activist in me that's gotta speak the truth. I'm allergic to the fake, been like this is my youth. See them in the comments, singing all the praise. Go sis, go, while they plotting in the haze. Plotting on a downfall, plotting on a spot. Thinking they can use a light to get what they ain't got. But you can't use a mirror, you can't use a queen. Your whole entire persona is a fucked up scene. You a resource sucker, energy drain. They bring the clouds, we just trying to bring the rain. But we see you, yeah, we see you. Your little mask is cracked and now you cornered, about to see how you act. For a tribe, trying to be free, trying to live our best life, but the snakes stay close, wearing a disguise. Now you got mad, showed your true self, no surprise. You been popped, dumb bitches, read your rights. You been popped, dumb bitches, read your rights. People don't care about your life or your struggle. They just wanna break you down and make your hustle tumble. Now we see the true colors at the core of these people. Their whole foundation is evil. We at war and we question these people. Golden has love for her people, and I've been trying to warn people. This is the ugly truth of the world. Watching all the snakes uncurl. Here's the revelation, the part you should've known. A person's real character is when their anger's shown. You got pressed, you got mad, and all that fake ass love you had turned to poison. Jealousy and spite, they hate cause you that bitch and shining too bright. You ain't no friend, you just a hater in disguise. Walk past, head high, don't look them in the eyes. So here's the diss, you lost, you're done. Your fake support is over, your little game is run. You pop yourself, bitch, we ain't have to do a thing. Just sat back and watch you pull your own damn string. You been popped, you can't infiltrate this. Your mask is on the floor, go pick up your shit. We out, we out. You kid, yeah.